heavy investment in the Ghanaian economy. And in fact, some funds that were being withheld and all that, there have been positive conversations. So generally, the economy will grow, And I think that if you look at the finance minister was very cautious when it went to Parliament, and he projected a very moderate growth rate. And I think the point was that it is important that you project what you are capable of achieving, so that you don't over ambitiously target something that at the end of the year you fall off. And when you fall off, it's not good for your outlook, because then people will question whatever happened in your economy. So even though it was looking good where he could do a 4.3, 4.4, he put it moderately around 4.0.
Right.
That's the target. I'm looking at the mid-year budget review, whether government will review that. But even that, you have some of the bodies. I think Fitch initially, Fitch and the World Bank initially projected that Ghana will not even grow at that particular rate. Fitch had to do a revise.
Yeah.
So it means, like we said, the managers are up to something. The only concerns that others have been raising, and I have been speaking to a lot of students of economics, and they tell me that the issue of the releases, the non-releases, for major projects, is going to be a testament to this particular progress that have been made.
Yeah.
We'll see how that will impact the economy. Because when I talk to a lot of financial analysts and economic analysts in the system, my understanding is that if government begins to release huge sums of money for huge projects, because right now, even though government have launched a lot of its signature projects, no monies have not been released, monies have not been disbursed.
True.
Even if you look across education, get fund, scholarships and all that, even though some people are beginning to receive award letters and institutions, monies have not been disbursed to institutions among others. You understand?
Yeah.
So technically speaking, government is not spending in both for both goods and services, and then for capital expenditure. Capital expenditure is infrastructure. Most of government's big projects, signature projects, are earmarked to be undertaken under the umbrella, the big push, where it seeks to drive major infrastructural projects across the country.
Right.
Monies have not been released for all those things. So my understanding is that when we get to that particular space, and then we continue to see this improvement, then we'll know that the managers of the economy have been to something special. But until then, we have to really be measured in our expectations. And to be measured in our expectations is just to tell you that there are not enough releases from government, and so currency circulation in the system is currently low. I mean, I've been hearing contractors and all other people complaining here and there, major contractors of major projects. I mean, so you go around the country, you realize that almost every major project has come to a standstill.
Yeah.
And so good progress, but we are waiting to also see when those activities kick in, how the economy will respond to them. But so far, so good.
Right. Okay. So let's try and see if we can touch on one more story before we go. Is there any story in the new find out you want to look at, or we?
Oh, we can go.
Okay. All right. So let's see if we can touch on this one. All right. Okay. I was trying to look for one story from another portal, but maybe we'll have to stick to. So there are a lot of strikes in this particular. In the past 6 months, we've seen a lot of strikes. What exactly is happening? Yesterday, NIA called. Yes, went on strike, and this morning I'm also seeing university administrations administrators threatening strike over unresolved salaries, and I think, like you mentioned,
it's always going to happen.
But for the beginning of an administration, I find it a bit worrying. What do you think?
It's always going to happen because, when an administration is outgoing in its negotiations, it approves a lot of things. And when it approves a lot of things and a new administration takes over, and that new administration wants to, get to monitor things and see how best it can put. And I think this NDC administration is being very cautious because of the fate it suffered in the aftermath of the 2008 elections. That is why it has been very resolute in insisting that people that were employed in December are taken off the payroll, and measures are instituted, and then things are looked at. That's why they've also been very resolute that allowances and conditions of services that were approved in somewhere before the elections of June or something that they've not been implemented, then there must be caution, in going forward with some of those things. If not, then the progress that they are making are going to be derailed. So you have a lot of public sector. Look, if you look at the NIA issue, I think the NIA issue, if what they are saying is really true, then government will have to find a way to, because they said when the allowance was approved between July or so to December last year, they were paid. So if they were paid, how did government find money to pay them? Then this government has no excuse. It has to find the money to pay them. There's a difference if those particular allowances or conditions of service have not started implementation. If they've not started implementation, then you can argue that putting them on board will affect the way you've started your work. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But where those conditions were already in place and the people had started enjoying them, however it was done, you must also do so for them. Because immediately you stop it, they are going to create chaos. And if you don't manage the expectations well, and people begin to feel that, somebody is enjoying this allowance, I don't even have it in my system. So we too, let's advocate for it. Do you understand me?
Right.
So some of these things, in managing some of these concerns, I think government has to find a way to keep these negotiations and bickerings in the meeting rooms.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because if you allow that to come out, then the other
tension.
labor unions are picking signals.
Right.
And once you accept or you deny, then it also informs their posture going forward on some of these things. So government have to be very strategic in handling some of these things. Yeah.
Right. Abel, thank you very much for your time. Grateful for your insights as well. All right, that was Abel Ansoluin Amodioki. He's a governance and policy strategist, and he helped us break down some headlines this morning. Up next is business news. Please stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to the business news segment on Business Breakfast on Zed. I am Samuela Aintree. Coming up shortly in the bulletin, Ghana inaugurates National Planning Committee to drive labor export strategy. And also Bank of Ghana says Women's Development Bank is key to closing credit gap for female entrepreneurs. And on the international market, European markets show cautious optimism amid Middle East ceasefire at the NATO summit development. Now let's settle for the details. The first story, in a landmark move to position Ghana as a hub for ethical and structured labor migration, the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, Dr. Abdul Rashid Hassan Pelpo, has officially inaugurated the National Planning Committee for the Ghana Labor Exchange Program. The inauguration ceremony held at the Presidential Annex under the theme Designing Ghana's Global Workforce Strategy brought together key stakeholders including representatives from government ministries, diplomatic missions, development partners, labor agencies and civil society organizations, CSOs. The committee has been tasked with developing a comprehensive framework to support the safe, professional and mutually beneficial deployment of Ghanaian workers to international labour market. Its work is expected to play a pivotal role in shaping the country's global labour strategy. Labour mobility is considered crucial for enhancing job creation, skills development and economic growth. The Ghana Labour Exchange Program aligns with national efforts to increase meaningful participation in the global workforce by offering structured and dignified opportunities for Ghanaian youth to gain experience abroad, which will also benefit the local economy upon their return. As a key component of Ghana's broader labour diplomacy agenda, the program seeks to meet international labour market demands while ensuring the protection and support of Ghanaian workers overseas. The committee's mandate includes developing institutional mechanisms, establishing bilateral labour agreement, aligning skills with global standards, and creating effective reintegration frameworks. These efforts are geared towards establishing a sustainable, secure and efficient labour export system that serves both Ghana and its international partners. This initiative represents a significant step in Ghana's effort to become a leader in responsible labour migration and global workforce development. Away from that, the Bank of Ghana has underscored the importance of the proposed Women's Development Bank in addressing persistent credit access challenges faced by women-led businesses in sectors such as agriculture, trade and technology. Speaking at the 2025 African Financial Inclusion Policy Initiative meetings, First Deputy Governor Dr. Sagari Mumuni noted that the initiative is part of Ghana's broader strategy to implement gender-inclusive financial policies. The move complements Ghana's participation in the African Development Bank's Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa initiative, which supports financial institutions in unlocking credit for women entrepreneurs through risk-sharing mechanisms and technical support. The Women's Development Bank is a flagship commitment by President John Dramani Mahama aimed at closing the gender finance gap. The 2025 national budget has allocated 51.3 million Ghana cedis as seed capital for the bank's establishment. Designed as a special purpose financial institution, the bank will be managed by women and will cater exclusively to women-owned and women-led businesses. It will provide low-interest loans and other flexible financial services tailored to the needs of female entrepreneurs. The initiative seeks to economically empower Guinean women and promote the inclusion in the country's financial and business landscape, positioning gender equality as a catalyst for national economic development. And so last story for the bulletin on the international scene, European market opened today with cautious optimism as investors reacted to signs of a potentially lasting ceasefire between Israel and Iran, as well as key geopolitical and economic development across the continent. IGs suggest a relatively stable start. London's FTSE is set to open unchanged at 8,764. Germany's DAX is up 0.2% at 23,699. France's CAC 40 remains flat at 7,625, while Italy's FTSE MIB shows a 0.3% increase at 39,673. Global sentiment improved on Tuesday, following renewed hopes that the fragile ceasefire in the Middle East could hold despite initial tensions and critical remarks from U.S. President Donald Trump, who accused both nations of early violations. Markets are also responding to the latest comment from U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, who signaled that the central bank is in a wait-and-see mood. Powell reiterated the Fed's commitment to curbing inflation and indicated that interest rates are likely to remain steady until there's greater clarity on the impact of recent trade tariffs. Attention is also on the ongoing NATO summit in The Hague, which concludes today. Leaders from the alliance's 32 member states are expected to issue a formal joint statement proposing an increase in the defense spending target from 2% to 5% of GDP by 2035. President Donald Trump joined other world leaders at the summit Tuesday evening. On the economic data front, investors are awaiting French consumer confidence figures and Spain's latest GDP data, both of which are expected to provide further insight into the Eurozone's economic trajectory. With the geopolitical risk and monetary policy uncertainty still in play, market movements are likely to remain sensitive to any major development throughout the day. And that'll be all for business news segment on Business Breakfast on Zed. But before I take leave of you, let's take a recap of our top stories. Ghana has integrated National Planning Committee to drive labor export strategy. And also the Bank of Ghana has said Women's Development Bank is key to closing credit gap for female entrepreneurs. And on the international scene, European markets show cautious optimism amid Middle East ceasefire and the NATO summit development. You can get more news on www.zmultimedia.com. You can also follow us on all our social media platforms, ZFMGH on Instagram, Facebook and X, and Z Multimedia on TikTok and YouTube. I am Samuela Inchi. Thanks for listening.
Zed 101.9 FM. 101.9 FM. Your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
sing in this place tonight. Yejidio. Yami. Yami beyo. Obeyama wo. He's not a man that will lie. Yeah, Jesus. Obey, obey, sing one more time. Yeah, Jesus.
To Zed 101.9 FM. Your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
My soul bless the Lord. My soul bless the Lord. My soul bless the Lord. Oh, my soul bless the Lord. Oh, my soul bless the Lord.
My soul bless the Lord. My soul bless the Lord. My soul bless the Lord. Oh, my soul bless the Lord. Oh, my soul, come on and bless the
My soul bless.
and everything that is within, and everything that is within you. Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. My soul bless. Tell your soul.
Sing it, my soul
What exactly 31 after 7? This is a business breakfast on Zed, and you're listening to My Soul Bless the Lord by Patrick Manting, a worship anthem that reminds us of something truly powerful. That no matter how busy life gets, no matter how high we climb in business, in leadership, or influence, our souls were made to bless the Lord. Well, you heard the Samuela Inchi with the business news. And right about now, we get into business brief this morning. Please stick and stay. All right, a warm welcome to you wherever you're tuned in from, whether from Accra to Tamale, Takrady to Ho, Sunyani to Bolga, or maybe even from a quiet corner of your office planning your next big move. Well, this is Business Breakfast on Zed, and now time for Business Brief. Now today we're asking a big question: that what is the impact of the 24-hour economy on business dynamics? What does it really mean to you? What does it really mean to run a country that never sleeps? And are we even ready? Because the government has announced that from 1st July, they're going to roll out the 24-hour economy. We need to understand what exactly that means. And now let me just give you some context. You see, we are in a season of a great opportunity, but also a great uncertainty. Now, according to the World Bank's 2024 economic outlook, Ghana is projected to grow at 3.7%, recovering slowly from the macroeconomic shocks of 2022-2023. Inflation has begun to cool down, sitting around 23 back in April, I think 18 now in May 2025. And our CD has somewhat stabilized, though there's still a long road ahead. And just before I came on air, somebody was telling me that he heard that the city was going to shoot up again. And very interesting. But I mean, we've seen some good things, but the bigger question on the table is, how do we scale productivity and job creation beyond the traditional model? And a 24-hour economy might just be one of the most disruptive and transformative answers to that particular question. Now, imagine this morning, a logistic company in Tema operating through the night, reducing all the delivery bottlenecks. A restaurant here in East Legon serving some late night clients and paying more staff, or maybe healthcare center somewhere in Kaswa or some part of the country fully functional at 2 a.m. without long queues the next morning. Because I've had an instance, take my mother to the hospital, and then around midnight, and people weren't accessing hospital clinic facilities or healthcare facilities really in the country. So just imagine that. Or maybe a fintech startup in Kumasi that is pushing updates for a client somewhere in California at midnight because their team now works in 2 shifts. That exactly is not fiction. It's a power of a well-structured 24-hour economy. That is what it means really. Let's break it down. Now, a 24-hour economy is, of course, an economic system where businesses, institutions, and services operate around the clock rather than limiting activities to the traditional 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 model that we know. Now, think of cities like New York, Dubai, Tokyo, Shanghai, or even Lagos on its best days. These places don't sleep. And I've seen a book on that Lagos never sleeps. These places don't sleep. but they also don't just work for the work's sake. Their extended hours are strategic, driven by systems that support efficiency, productivity, and also safety. Now, in Ghana, the conversation is picking up steam. Now, policymakers, especially from the government, have proposed, a nationwide rollout of the 24-hour economy. And pilot businesses have already started experimenting. But for it to work at scale, we need buy-in, not just from the government, but also from you, the business leader who is listening to me, the investor, the professional, the entrepreneur who is listening to me. And that is why we're having this conversation this morning. Now, let's talk some numbers. Why go 24/7? Now Ghana's youth unemployment stands about 14%, with underemployment rates even higher. And this is from recent checks that I made. Now, the informal sector makes up about 80% of employment in Ghana. Many of these people could benefit from extended working hours, especially in retail, transports, and also services. Now, according to statistics, I think from ISEP, Ghana loses up to 30% of potential business revenue due to early closing hours, power disruption, and restricted access to markets. So that is huge, 30% of potential business revenue. Now, globally, studies also show that implementing a 24-hour economy can increase GDP by 2 to 4% within the first 3 years, it backed by strong infrastructure and policy reforms. So here's a business case. More hours equals more services, and that also equals more jobs and then more revenue. More hours, more services, more jobs, and more revenue. And as Jeff Bezos once said, in business, what's dangerous is not to evolve. If you don't evolve in business, Jeff Bezos says that is very, very dangerous. But let's be honest. A 24-hour economy sounds exciting, but I don't think it's a plug and play. It demands certain systems, certain planning, and most importantly, people first thinking. People first thinking is very, very important. So let's talk about some of the challenges. We can talk about labor and human resources, because operating 24/7 means hiring more people. It also means restructuring your shifts and paying night allowances. And it raises question, will workers be protected? Will companies exploit cheap labor? How do we even avoid burnout? These are some of the questions on the minds of people. The TUC has won that. There's been conversations around that. TUC has made their points and all of that. And 24-hour economy must never mean a 24-hour hustle for workers with no rest. I believe that there should be a good balance. And so that is one of the things. We can also talk about security, because you can't talk about a 24-hour economy in Ghana without addressing the security gap. Will night workers be safe? Can we trust that police presence will be consistent in industrial zones, marketplaces, and even transport hubs? Because businesses can't run through the night if staff are scared to commute. So a very important aspect of the conversation, since it was mentioned, is the security issues at hand. We can also talk about utility and power. Of course, Ghana's power sector has made some strides, but we are obviously not there yet. The 24-hour model needs constant electricity. And recently, an economist, specifically Dr. Bokping, was saying that we are unable to power an 8-hour economy. We want to do 24 hours and all of that, A lot of things come in there. Because even an hour of doom so can destroy productivity and confidence. So I'm asking that, are we ready to power this vision sustainably? And it's a question for today's guests on my roundtable discussion. Now, night shifts also mean higher utility bills. So we can talk about cost of operation, because night shifts, like I said, mean higher utility bills, more staff, and possibly even increased insurance premiums. So these are some of the things. Now, for SMEs, that cost might be unbearable unless maybe supported by some incentives, tax reliefs, or maybe public-private partnerships. Then we can see some improvements. So those are some of the things. We can talk about labor and human resource, security issues, utilities, and power, also cost of operation. Now let's drill down a bit. Some industries stand to gain more than others in the 24/7 setup. We can talk about the retail, manufacturing, transport, logistics. We can talk about tech and digital devices. These are all various areas. Now, what are the experts saying? Dr. Patrick, assuming, I think he's a professor, economist at the University of Ghana Business School. He says that a 24-hour economy is not about staying open for longer, but it's about working smarter and building systems and also matching supply with demand around the clock. So it's not just about rolling it out, but actually, working around the matching supply with demand around the clock. And I've also heard a clinical psychology warn that we need to watch mental health because working night shifts affects the body. If we don't plan shift system carefully, we could see increased fatigue, depression, and accidents. Yeah. So we can also talk. One particular logistics CEO also told me just last week that when we added a night shift last quarter, our dispatch volumes increased by 48%, and we are paying more, but the returns are worth it. And he says that our biggest struggle now is recruiting reliable night workers, and that's their biggest struggle. So those are some of the views that are coming from people, and these voices matter. So we're going to get people, an economist, we're going to get some other people who are going to join the panel discussion this morning, and we can have this conversation fruitfully. Well, my time is up, and so I'll end here. But here's the bottom line. Ghana has potential, but potential is not progress. Progress is what we get when we decide, design, and deliver. And this isn't just a conversation for politicians. This is a call to action for every business leader, because you are concerned about how you adjust the model. How you adjust the model for a changing economy, or your model for a changing economy. We can talk about investors. Are you seeing opportunity in night operations, or you're waiting for proof? Young entrepreneurs, will you build solutions that serve round-the-clock markets? Those are some of the conversations we need to have, because the 24-hour economy is not just about staying open. It's about unlocking new markets, hiring more people, and rethinking productivity for a new era. So Peter Drucker, I like to quote him a lot. He says that the best way to predict the future is to create it. So we need to start creating it. In the next few minutes, or in the next few years, I think in the next few minutes, we'll get into a roundtable discussion and we'll go deeper. We're bringing an economist, a labor expert, and also a business owner, someone who has already started rolling out the 24-hour system and has the experience and the lessons and the numbers to share. So we're going to talk about all of that. And it's a very important conversation. I really believe that you shouldn't miss. You can share the link. We're live on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. You can share the link, text a colleague, and stay with us. Well, that will be all for Business Brief this morning. Up next is Transport Today with Solomon Tetenate. Stay tuned.
This is the pre-boarding.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engines running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
All right, thank you very much for sticking and staying with us. Solomon Tetenate is seated and ready to bring us Transport Today. Solo, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Nee. I'm doing very well this morning. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well too.
We thank God.
Yeah, tell us the local flight schedules and the traffic situation in town.
All right, so I'm starting with the local flight schedules for today, and I'm starting with Passion Air, Accra to Kumasi as usual. So Accra to Kumasi Passion Air, the morning schedules are 6:20 a.m., 8:50 a.m., and 11:20 a.m. Passion Air Accra to Kumasi, the morning schedules are 6:20 a.m., 8:50 a.m., and 11:20 a.m. And then the afternoon schedules are 1:50 p.m. and 4:20 p.m. 1:50 p.m. and 4:20 p.m. And then the evening schedule is 7:20 p.m. Passion Air Accra to Kumasi. So in all, we have 6 flights available for the day, and it takes 40 minutes to get to your destination. Passion Air Accra to Takoradi. Passion Air Accra to Takoradi. The morning schedule is 6:20 a.m. and then the afternoon schedule is 4:20 p.m. The morning schedule is 6:20 a.m. and then the afternoon schedule is 4:20 p.m. Passion Air Accra to Takoradi, and it takes 15 minutes to get to your destination. Accra to Sunyani Passion Air has only 1 flight available for the day, and it's at 9:10 a.m. 9:10 a.m. Passion Air Accra to Sunyani, and it takes 1 hour to get to your destination. Accra to Wa Passion Air. Accra to Wa Passion Air has only 1 flight available for the day, and it's at 9:50 a.m. Passion Air Accra to Wa. The flight schedule is 9:50 a.m. And it takes 1 hour 40 minutes to get to your destination. Accra to Tamale. Passion Air Accra to Tamale. The morning schedule is 6 a.m. and then the afternoon schedules are 12:20 p.m. and 4 p.m. The morning schedule for Accra to Tamale is 6 a.m. and then the afternoon schedules are 12:20 p.m. and 4 p.m. and it takes 1 hour 20 minutes to get to your destination. So these are the flight schedules for Passion Air. Let's look at Africa World Airlines, how their schedules also looks like today. So Africa World Airlines Accra to Kumasi. Africa World Airlines Accra to Kumasi. The morning schedules are 6:20 a.m. and 8:40 a.m. 6:20 a.m. and 8:40 a.m. and then the afternoon schedules are 2:20 p.m. and 4:40 p.m. 2:20 p.m. and 4:40 p.m. and then the evening schedules are 6:50 p.m. and 7 p.m. 6:50 p.m. and 7 p.m. and it takes 40 minutes to get to your destination. Africa World Airlines Accra to Kumasi. Now, Accra to Takoradi Africa World Airlines, the morning schedule is 6:40 a.m. and then the afternoon schedules are 2:10 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. The morning schedule for Accra to Takoradi Africa World Airlines is 6:40 a.m. and then the afternoon schedules are 2:10 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. It takes 40 minutes to get to your destination. And Accra to Tamale, Africa World Airlines Accra to Tamale, the morning schedules are 6:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. 6:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. and then the afternoon schedules are 12:30 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. 12:30 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. Accra to Tamale Africa World Airlines, and it takes 1 hour to get to your destination. So these are the flight schedules for today. Let's look at the traffic situation in town. So currently Hacho Kwabenya Road, or from Atomic to Kwabenya, around where the Total Fuel Station Hacho is located, right from that place, past the Melcom Hacho branch, to Kwabenya Senior High School is busy at the moment. So if you are using the Hacho Atomic Road, you are going to experience some traffic right from the Total Fuel Station Hacho branch to Kwabenya Senior High School. So you should take note of that. So that's the traffic situation over there as we speak. Also, Agbogba Ashoman Road is busy right from the Papa's Pizza North Legon, Pizza North Legon to the Total Petrol Station on the Agbogba Ashoman Road. So if you are using the Agbogba Ashoman Road, heading towards maybe Abokobi or heading towards Ableje or any of the of these areas, you are going to experience some traffic right from the Papa's Pizza North Legon to the Total fuel station on the Agbogba Ashoman Road. So you should take note of that. So that's the traffic situation over there at the moment. Now, if you are at Medina, you are going to experience traffic around where the K Frontiers Limited is located. K Frontiers Limited around Medina, on that stretch, and that's close to the ECOWAS road. You are going to experience traffic on that stretch. So if you are using the ECOWAS road around where the K Frontiers Limited is located, there's traffic on that stretch at the moment. So that's the traffic situation over there. Now, Legon Bypass, around where Gempa is located, Legon Bypass is also busy at the moment, right from Haven Hostel, from that area, past the Gempa school to Fiesta Royal Hotel. There's traffic on that stretch and it's very intense at the moment. So if you're using the Legon Bypass, you're going to experience some traffic at the moment, so you should take note of that. And then Airport Bypass is also busy at the moment. Airport Bypass is busy at the moment, so if you are using the Airport Bypass, you should also take note. If you're coming from Spintex and you want to use the Airport Bypass, there's traffic on that stretch, so you should take note of that. And so that's the traffic situation in town today. Let's look at what is trending in the aviation sector. So Delta Airlines has been named best US airline by the Point Guys. So the Point Guys is basically a trusted travel media platform that provides tips and tools for better and smarter travel. And so they've ranked Delta Airlines as the best US airline at the moment. And the rankings are based on objective data points from January 1 to December 31, 2024, evaluated by the Point Guys editorial team. So this is a big win for Delta Airlines. And also Delta Airlines is expanding its global network from Seattle Tacoma International Airport by launching new non-stop flights to Rome and Barcelona. So Delta Airlines is expanding its global network from Seattle Tacoma International Airport by launching new non-stop flights to Rome and Barcelona, and that's what is trending in the aviation sector. Also, Emirates daily flight between Accra, Ghana, and Dubai, UAE are fully operational despite conflict in neighboring Persian Gulf states. So the airline, which operates a Boeing 777 on the route, has operated its regular scheduled flight to Accra Kotoka International Airport since the escalation in the conflict over the weekend. However, the Dubai-based airline has temporarily suspended all flights to Iran and Iraq. Emirates warned that passengers traveling to the two countries will not be accepted for travel at their point of origin until further notice. So these are these are the stories trending in the aviation sector today. And thank you so much, Ni, for having me.
Thank you very much, Solomon Tetenati, for bringing us that. Well, exactly 5 minutes to the top of the hour. This is a business breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nitrebi Hammond. Up next is market trends, but we'll take a quick break. When we return, Emmanuel Boating, our in-house economic analyst, will be joining me for that one. All right, a special happy birthday going out to Presbell Rosemont Labi, our colleague here at Zed Multimedia. We wish you a day filled with joy, laughter, and all the things that make you happy. And we appreciate your positive attitude and dedication at work. And we are grateful to have you as a colleague. Presbell, happy birthday to you. And this is from all of us here at Zed Multimedia, especially the newsroom. We love you and we cherish you. Have a wonderful day and an awesome new year. Yes, if I didn't do this birthday, my head will be chopped off. All right, let's get into our market trends conversation this morning. And Emmanuel Boateng is on standby, ready to have this conversation with me already. Okay. So this morning we're talking about the Ghana Stock Exchange. Now, in recent times, the Ghana Stock Exchange has been on an upward trajectory, with the GSE Composite Index rising by 27.85% year to date. And the Financial Stocks Index has performed even better. It's up by 40.62%, highlighting the dominance of financial stocks in this particular rally. Now, this remarkable performance, which is led by banks such as GCB Bank and Standard Chartered, has drawn some significant attention, particularly in light of the global economic uncertainties that we are seeing. Now, despite these challenges, Ghana stock market has managed to outperform many of its West African peers, and that demonstrates resilience and investor confidence. And so we're focusing on the driving forces behind this particular growth we are seeing in the Ghana Stock Exchange, the role of the financial stocks, and what exactly these trends mean for investors and for the broader Ghanaian economy. And Emmanuel Boateng is ready to have this conversation. Iman, good morning. You're welcome.
Morning. Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I hope you are doing well too.
Yeah, I'm doing very well by God's special grace. Well, the Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index has risen by 27.85% year to date, with Financial Stock Index up by 40.62%. What exactly are the factors that are driving this robust performance?
Very well. Thank you very much. The strong performance of the Ghana Stock Exchange, I will use GSE subsequently. It's primarily driven by the impressive gains that we've seen, both the broader market and the financial sector. And here are the key factors. We see strong performance of major financial stocks. I'm referring to banks like GCB Bank and Standard Chartered Bank, which you earlier mentioned. They've been leading this change and significantly boosting the performance of the Composite Index and the Financial Stocks Index. GCB Bank, for instance, saw a price increase of about 3.75% during the June 23, 2025. June 23 is 2 days ago. That is Monday. Yeah, that is Monday. And Standard closed up by 3.26% as well. And when we look at that, trading volumes of these stocks shows robust investor confidence in the banking sector. Just a breather, you note that for the previous period, so let's take Friday. Friday was 20th June 2025.
Yeah.
The composite index, the point was about 6,210, and then the financial index about 3,353. Now, as at Monday, the points on the composite index increased to 6,250. That is about 40 points difference.
Yeah.
And I mean, so a rally 39.87 points difference. And year to date, the change is about 27.85%. And when we look at this, which companies are the ones underpinning that change? Specifically the question. And we see GCB Bank recording a strong performance. They closed at 9.68 Ghana cedis per share, an increase of 35% from the previous close. Previously, it was 9 cedis 33 per share. And we saw over 62,000 shares of GCB Bank being traded, and they generated about 607,626 Ghana cedis from those shares that were traded. And Standard followed closely. Their share price is about 27 cedis, 88 pesos. They gained 88 pesos. It used to be 27 cedis, but now it has increased by 88 pesos. And they also recorded about 3,780 shares were traded, and that translates into 105,051 Ghana cedis. Of course, there are other companies like SIC Insurance that also saw an uptick in their share prices and also the volumes that were traded. Not only that, we also saw New Gold Exchange Traded Fund contributing to the gains that we have seen in the market. Their share price closed at 362 cedis, and a total of 212 units were traded, and so they generated in excess of 76,000 Ghana cedis in value. And so, Nichabi, when you put all these together, it helps to understand what has really happened on the market. So, in terms of the factors, these are the companies that are engineering the growth that we are seeing. But when we want to bring it down to specific factors, I mean, that characterize these indicators that I've highlighted, you see an improved economic outlook in the general Ghanaian economy. I think we've been speaking about that for some time now. Of course, we've seen internal validation. We've also seen external validation by Fitch Solutions. S&P did the upgrading sometime before Fitch did that. And so these are good indicators to see, to show that despite what is happening in the global market, of course, last night I've seen, I heard in Parliament, I saw the Honorable Haruna Idrisu and the Honorable Kojo Ponkroma making a case for the global uncertainty, especially that's coming from Israel and Iran. I also know that the ceasefire, we know how these factors impact global markets, and particularly emerging and vulnerable markets like Ghana. We are not exclusive to some of these things that may be happening in the global market. So despite these global economic challenges, despite the fact that the World Bank and the IMF together have, as it were, revised downwards the global trajectory of growth in the global market, we have seen some resilience in the broader economy, and we've also seen strong performance from our Ghana exchange. We've seen that post-pandemic, post-domestic debt exchange program, among other things, we are seeing signs of strong recovery in our country. And I think that is also largely driven by what the government is doing at the fiscal side and the monetary policy that is driving it. Why do I say so? We've seen inflation taking a disinflationary path for about 5 months continuously. When the GDP numbers for the last quarter of 2024 was released, we saw sustained growth across the various sectors. In fact, we've also seen that the producer price index also recorded some disinflation. It is also on a disinflationary path. And so altogether, you can see that inflation is stabilizing, economic growth is being sustained, and we can see investor confidence coming up strongly. I mean, we have concerns. Of course, our concerns will be on the treasury bill market and also what we are seeing with respect to the monetary policy rates. And I think those are key things that ought to be looked at. Now, let's talk about the financial sector growth, because I've highlighted a number of banks, a number of insurance companies, and I think it is important to talk about that.
Absolutely.
They've seen significant growth due to, one, improved profit margins. We cannot take that away from the bank. We've seen strong capital positions. Right. And I am happy about this because, you see, some time ago in this country, banking sector cleanup, domestic debt exchange program, we saw banks negative equity position. Very, very interesting. Our in such a state. And today, if the banks are in a favorable position and they are making profits, etc., I think there's some good news. I think that is something to celebrate. One of the things I keep saying is that Ghana, given what they have gone through, maybe just let's take it up in about a decade, 5 to 8 years, what the banks have gone through, they have even survived it. In more than a decade, I think that they have shown some resilience. And if the companies within the banks that are leading this growth, I think that is something good for for us to talk about. In addition, I know the banking sector has benefited from a reduction in the non-performing loans and an increase in lending to productive sectors of the economy. A colleague is working on something around non-performing loans of banks. I'm hoping he'll be able to finish soon, and we'll have a discussion around that. But I think the banking sector is one that, as it were, or as it is in the literature, it is an anchor of any economy's financial sector development.
Right.
And once we are seeing companies from there consistently leading the charge. Today, we are not talking about MTN. Today, we are not talking about Gold. We are not talking about Total Energies. In some weeks ago, they were the ones that lead the charge when it comes to how the composite index is doing. But today, we are talking about GCB Bank. We are talking about Standard Chartered Bank. We are talking about SIC Insurance, among other things. And I think that is some good news to celebrate this morning.
Absolutely. Very, very interesting stuff. And I like how you've been able to break that down. But let's focus on the financial stocks one more time, but particularly banks like GCB and, like I mentioned in my introduction, Stanchart. I mean, they are leading the gains. What does this indicate about investor confidence in the banking sector? Because we've seen that in the treasury bill markets, investor confidence is not really there like that. I want to talk about the investor confidence in the banking sector. What does the gains by GCB and Standard Chartered indicate about that?
Very well. I think on Monday I told you the reason we are seeing consistent levels of undersubscription would not only be about the yields, that the yields are falling, but also because it's likely investors will be locking up their funds somewhere else. Because, of course, if I go to Agbogloshi and a bag of rice is 800 cedis and it is 700 at Medina Market, you don't expect me to buy it at Agbogloshi. I'll come to Medina Market to buy it. Similarly, if two investments that are equal in weight are offering different yields, different returns on investment, every investor is rational. Every investor will choose a portfolio that will maximize their utility. They will choose a portfolio that will give them the highest return at the same level of risk or at different levels of risk. Investors will typically go in for financial assets that will give them a higher level of return. Now, with that said, let me come to my substantive point. When we compare the treasury bill market to the stock market, there are differences. They are for different purposes. Treasury bill market is a short-term investment opportunity, or as it were, investment handle for investors. And then the equity market or the stock market is rather long-term. And so they serve different purposes. The returns on the treasury bill market is different from the returns on the equity market. And so for every investor, when you are investing in an equity market, certainly I don't see how it becomes a true alternative for the treasury bill market, unless, of course, they are long-term investors who, for the sake of risk, will take advantage of the treasury bill market and just be rolling over their investment. Of course, there may be people like that. And once they see that what the equity market will provide them or the stock market will provide them is better than what they'll get from the treasury bill market, then they'll turn their attention to the treasury bill market to have some investments in there. So in terms of investor preferences, investor confidence, of course, we can see a decline in the treasury bill market, but we can see an uptick probably at the stock market. And that is okay. That is okay typically. I just think that for government to start experiencing better subscriptions, to be meeting its targets on the T-bill market, a few concerns must be addressed: inflation, monetary policy rates, and of course the yields on the investment. I think that they must closely align so that the real return on every investor's investment will be positive and not the rather negative position that we have seen or experienced in recent times. Now let's come to the strong performance of these financial stocks, especially GCB and Stanchart. It is a positive signal for investor confidence in the banking sector. It shows that there is strong investor confidence around that. And not only that, it is also an indication that investors come. We are open for business. We are open for business because, as it were, there are a few things to observe. Trade volumes quite high. Not only that, we are also seeing the share prices, the stock prices of these stocks listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange go up. An increase of 35% is very significant. GCB Bank was trading at 9 cedis 33 pesos on Friday. As at Monday, it was trading at 9 cedis 68 pesos. That is significant.
Yeah.
Quite significant. To increase by 35%. So imagine if you, so for those who already have existing shareholders in GCB Bank, it means for every share that they have gained 35% on that share. So if you have shares in GCB Bank, let's assume, maybe I don't know what number of shares would you want to have. Say 10,000 shares. You just have to multiply that by 35%, and that will mean that you have gained 3,500 cedis, theoretically. And there is a reason why I say theoretically. It is like our debt. You know, once the CD is strengthening, the value of our debt will fall. But that fall in the value of debt is a theoretical gain. It is, unless you pay off the debt, you have not really benefited from it. I don't know if you get the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I get it.
So if it sits on your books and the exchange rate is good, and you are not paying for it now, yes, it is a gain, but it is theoretical. It is on paper. Until you pay it, you are not going to experience it. And so if you have shares in GCB, you would have gained, if you have 10,000 shares, for instance, you would just multiply that by 35 pesos and you would have gained 3,500 Ghana cedis.
Right.
But that is theoretical. You would only realize that gain if you sell off your shares. If you do not sell it, it is theoretical. Or otherwise, unless the share price doesn't fall up to the point where you decide to trade it or other things. And so that is how it works. Standard Chartered, they also gained 88 pesos. Very significant. And it's interesting, but you note that the stock prices of these stocks are quite high. Not like MTM, which is, just something small, you'll be able to get one share. But Standard trades at 27 cedis 88 pesos. They used to be on Friday was 27 cedis, and now it's 27 cedis 88 pesos. Share or one stock. The price of one share in Standard Chartered Bank is 27 cedis 88 pesos. That is that is not easy. If you want to go and buy 100 shares at Standard, then you need about 2,788. That gives you 100 shares. If you want 1,000 shares, you need 27,880 Ghana cedis. And so you will note that it's quite significant. It's not something easy. But for them to gain 88 pesos or 27 cedis, I think, you see, stock prices do not just increase. No. Of course, I understand that stock prices take a random walk. That is correct. But they don't just increase. Stock prices are a reflection of the fundamentals of a company. Not the fundamentals that came to mind when I said this. This one, this is stock market fundamentals, not exchange rate. They reflect how well a business is doing. And then you see a company, and it is an indication that that company is doing well. Of course, there are times where we have stock prices being undervalued, overvalued, and the rest of them, for which reasons investors decide to sell or buy shares in those companies. But this is a surge. Over the weekend, stock market closed on Friday, Monday, we are back to the market, and they have gained 88%. They have gained 35%. That is significant. And so it's just telling you how well these companies are doing. And of course, SIC just gained 2%. That's why I don't want to talk about it that much.
Okay.
Not that it's not significant, but it's 2%. It's 2%. Maybe in the coming days, they will do well. So we see robust banking fundamentals. And investors are confident about these fundamentals of the Ghanaian banking sector. Banks have improved their capital adequacy ratios, they streamline their operations and reduce bad debts. and then it reflects in their sound management and stability. And as it were, these indicators increases the confidence investors will have within that sector. Profitability and dividends. I'm sure I think 2 weeks ago, some banks paid some dividends to their shareholders.
Yeah.
That is an indication that, okay, I agree, and I should know better. Banks do not, or companies do not necessarily pay dividends out of their profits. There is a policy. So otherwise, if they are paying dividends out of their profit, there will be an issue. What happens in a year where they make losses? What happens in a year where their profit is not enough? So banks or companies typically have dividend policy. It's a policy. And dividend itself is a signal to investors. I'm not sure as an investor as you are. This year, if they give you 50% per share, and next year they come and give you 10% per share, you see that is a signal that, then this company is not doing well. Because why did they give you 50%, and then the following year I give you 10%? What has happened? And that is why typically profit. So when I say out of profit, I'm talking about that particular year, the profits they made.
Yeah.
No, they don't pay it out of that. They have a policy, and the policy is such that dividend payment is sustainable. Dividend payment, there is something called smoothing. It's a term. What it means is that if you are paying 50%, you need to pay that for a sustainable time. You don't have to reduce it. Investors don't like things like that. They don't like volatility. They don't like things fluctuating downwards. No. So you pay 50%. The day you decide in your annual general meeting that dividends should be increased from 50% to 1 cedi, what it means effectively is that until another decision is taken, for a long time, every year they'll be paying dividend of 1 cedi.
Right.
So the dividend is tied to, of course, it is out of profit that you're able to do this, but it's not tied to the profit of a particular year. Otherwise, in a year where businesses will make losses, they will not be able to pay dividends. And that doesn't happen. And so dividends, whether or not there is profit. And so they have their policy, they accumulate some of their profits, they keep it, and then out of that, they pay these dividends over time. And that is how typically it works. And I think that is also another thing. And I think that the financial index has shown strong performance for a long time. It's not just today. And I think it is attractive to investors. And that is why, particularly for me, I have set time without numbers. If you want to form a portfolio on the Ghana Stock Exchange, look at 2 financial stocks. Consider a stock in the energy sector. And I'm talking about Total Energies or oil. Take one of the stocks that has to do with mining. I'm talking about a stock that is linked to gold or something. And then finally, take a stock that is in manufacturing and form a portfolio of a minimum of about 5 companies. And you will be able to hedge perfectly well.
I think you have to repeat that just in case somebody didn't get it.
Okay. So I said you pick 2 financial stocks. You pick a stock that is in the energy sector. You pick a stock that is tied to a mining company or that deals in gold or something of the sort. And then, lastly, you pick a stock that is in the manufacturing sector. I'm not mentioning the specific companies you should invest in. I know which ones good will help you hedge against risk, inflation, and the rest of them. But when you do this, you build a portfolio that will be resilient for a while. Because you see, typically, the index that drives the growth or the performance of the Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index is constantly the financial index. It doesn't mean that the banks or the companies in that index are always doing well. No, that is not what it means. When you put their performances together, it is so strong than the others. That is 1. 2, these companies are not known for a bad performance. And when they are going to perform poorly, you would know. One of the profitable industries in this country, I think, is the financial sector or financial industry. I think they are doing quite well. So you build a nice portfolio around there. You have some investment, long-term investment, something in financial index, maybe 5,000 shares. You have 5,000. You just build your portfolio. If you need guidance, of course, you can reach out to Nitrebi. He will help you. He has some good investments there. You build some portfolio so that, you see, imagine you had some stocks with GCB Bank, and Standard. I think as we speak this morning, you will be happy.
Absolutely.
You would have made theoretical gain. But if you decide to sell your shares, you see, this is what happens. You can decide to sell your shares today, and that will be done on the assumption that you believe that the prices of Standard and GCB is going to fall very soon or sometime in the future. And therefore, the price you are seeing today is not actual or it's overvalued, as we say in financial terms. Now, what that will mean is that your shares, you can cash out the 3,500 that you made off your 10,000 shares, and then you wait for the stock price to fall to where it was when you had shares there before it increased by 35%. And then what happens when you buy it at that price? You would note that you have just made your gain, and you are back again as an investor. That's how it works typically. I mean, for those who deal the 8%, which is standard, can you imagine? 10,000 shares. It's 8,800 Ghana cedis.
Yeah, that's
and you wait for it to fall again by even maybe more than 88%, and then you go and buy. So there are times where the market typically does well, and probably this is the cocoa season, as we call it. And then there are times where it will not do well, and then you can come at it again. Yeah, so lastly, my brother, this is what we have seen, and I think that it is good, marvelous in our sight.
Absolutely. Well, but I mean, we are seeing that despite what is going on, I mean, the global economic uncertainties, Ghana's stock market is outperforming the West African peers. And I want to know, what exactly does this say about the resilience of our Ghana Stock Exchange?
Very well, of course. Last year were the best stock market in the whole of West Africa, and I think, I mean, we are the best at many things, not just jollof. I think that it's something that especially Nigeria and the rest of them must take note of. We are the best on many things. You see, the fact that we are outperforming many of our West African counterparts, including Nigeria, I don't know why I have to add that. Despite the global uncertainties, it is just showing us a few things about the resilience of the market. Of course, economic stability drives market performance. The same way market performance also impacts economic stability. So that is key. And I'm sure you agree that our recovery has brought some level of stability.
Right.
See, it will interest you to note, I think Ghana cedi to dollar has remained at 10.29, Bank of Ghana rate. 10.29 for over 2 weeks or almost 2 weeks.
I think for about 2 weeks.
Consistently, that is what we call stability. Or it has been 10 for over a month. That is what we call stability. Stable prices. Prices that do not change to the extent that it will impact economic decision making. That is stability. Not that we will not see small changes, but the small changes will not overall cause an impact in decision making by economic agents. That is the point. So we see stability in our Ghanaian economy, and maybe I have not brought up some data to show how fragile or vulnerable some of these other countries are to the global uncertainties, and for which reason their stock markets may not be performing. I personally would think that the performance of the stock market may not typically be underpinned by this global economic uncertainty, because, of course, we have evidence that these global economic uncertainties impact economies in Africa, impact stock markets and the rest of them. But as to the way it impacts the specific sectors in terms of maybe financial, maybe energy, and the rest of manufacturing and the rest of them, little is known about that. And so, of course, your domestic strength backs that. And at a point where a country is stable, global economic uncertainties will not have such a harsh impact on it. And I think that Ghana's economy has become less reliant on any single sector. I know that we have not done so well, but in relative terms, compared to the others, I think in Africa it's something we are known for. We all depend on our raw materials as our engine of growth and maybe survival. And I think we have a good mix. Oil kakra, cocoa kakra, gold kakra, services so Nancy, kakra. I mean, we are there. We are not yet there because some of us have been calling for diversification because diversification provides buffer for the economy and by extension the stock market against these global uncertainties. And for me, I think the investment in the confidence Ghanaians typically have had in the economy. We have been hit before in the past, but I think we are coming to our original state. That is how I see it. So it is not as though these other West African countries are performing very poorly, but my suspicion is that, or my understanding is that we are coming to where we belong. And in West Africa, my brother, you would agree with me that when it comes to West Africa, I think Ghana, we are not just the black star of Africa. In terms of West Africa, we are the only star. West Africa, West Africa is Ghana, and sometimes we mention Nigeria because we are twins.
They won't be happy to hear this.
That is okay. When they get the platform, they can also talk about Nigeria. They can also. We beat them in Jollof, we beat them in athletics, we beat them in football. Okay, not the recent one. That was just a friendly. In better, good match. Yeah, but I mean, Nigeria knows that we own them. So that is okay. Yeah, that's just by the way.
Right.
But I think that Ghana is just coming to you see, Ghana, I think we have a long-standing good name. It is for some time now that things have not been too good. But it appears that we are coming back to our original estate. And I think that is good.
I see. But how significant is the role of institutional investors and pension funds in the current market rally?
Very significant. See, institutional investors and pension funds, they are the ones that move the market. They are the big investors. Not you and I. I mean, we were talking about 10,000 shares, and I think that one car was blowing our mind. Institutional investors, they buy more than 10,000 shares. They buy a lot. These pension funds, I mean, you see, it's a pool of funds for many people. So in terms of weight, they are stronger than we are, and the rest of them. They are stronger than individual investors. I mean, that's the point. And so they play a significant role. How or in what ways? Capital inflows. They typically bring in large capital inflows, which can significantly influence the market. Their investment decisions are often based on long-term growth prospects, which means they tend to invest in stable, high-performing sectors such as the banking industry. And that is why I think they are more of market movers than we are. And then also market stability. You see, these large institutional investors contribute to market stability by providing liquidity and dampening short-term volatility. They are not like us, that when our monies are in a certain investment and we wake up and see that the thing is falling now, then we go there, hey, but your family mami. I'm sure you know that is what individual investors typically do. When they see a slight decrease or an unfavorable situation, slightly, in a day or two, they are going for their money. No, these institutional investors are different. They understand the market. They know what investment is about. They know what it means to trade on the Ghana Stock Exchange. They understand the dynamics of the stock market, and they know when, where, and how to go about their business. And that is why I think their role is essentially significant. Another thing is the increased market depth that they bring in. You see, these institutional investors, including the pension funds, they contribute to the diversification of the investor base. And they lead to deeper, more liquid markets, which is very, very important. And it reduces market reliance on retail investors and enhances our resilience to external shocks. And so they are key to the market. And of course, the confidence and credibility, among other positive characteristics that we give to the Ghana stock market, I think largely we can attribute that to the role that these institutional investors and pension funds play. They send a strong signal to the investor community about the long-term potential of the Ghana stock market, which can increase overall confidence in the Ghana stock exchange.
I see. So what? Now we can see that market capitalization is reaching, I think, about 137 Ghana cedis, billion Ghana cedis are about. What
When you say 137, I was like, you needed to add a billion.
yeah, billion Ghana cedis. What implications does that have for our economic outlook as a nation?
It's a significant milestone. You see a market capitalization of a growth in market capitalization to about 137.35 billion Ghana cedis. It's a significant milestone, and it has several positive implications for our Ghanaian economy. It has implications for economic growth and development. A larger market capitalization, as we know, indicates a growing economy and a thriving corporate sector. As companies expand and their stock values increases, this typically translates into more job creation, higher production, greater consumer spending, and the other things. I mean, and all comes together to boost our economic growth. So it leads to economic growth and development, increased foreign interest. You see, you need to be attractive to attract people. I don't know if I said that right, but if you do not have what people are drawn to, I don't think they'll be drawn to you. Why is somebody supporting Chelsea, irrespective of how poor they perform? Victor supports Chelsea. It's just because he likes the color blue. So he's drawn to that. But why are some people supporting Real Madrid? Because they play better football. We are not just concerned about the white color. We are concerned about the content. So we still support Real Madrid. You see the guy, he supports Barcelona, and it's just because he likes red and blue. So it's about the jersey. So what is attractive about you will attract the right people to you. And so those who support Madrid, we know clearly is because of the beautiful football that we put out there. Coming to the market, a higher market capitalization makes Ghana's stock market more attractive to foreign investors, which can lead to more foreign direct investment and greater capital inflow. And this further strengthens the country's financial position and provides additional resources for our infrastructure and developmental projects. And maybe the last thing that I'll add will be about improved financial sector health. As market capitalization rises, more companies are likely to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And that will increase the variety of investment options available to investors, thereby boosting the credibility and the sophistication of this, as it were, financial market, and attracting more institutional investors and foreign capital. And I think market capitalization of this nature, 137.35 billion Ghana cedis, does these things or has implications along these lines for the Ghanaian economy.
I see. Well, we have to go. Our time is up. It's almost up. What are the potential risks that could disrupt the current bullish trend we are seeing in the GSE?
Domestic policy uncertainty, when the fiscal discipline all of a sudden changes into fiscal indiscipline. Global economic slowdown, commodity price volatility, exchange rate fluctuations will impact, for instance, banks. I know there's a new policy on how banks should treat exchange rates and the rest of them. And of course, political instability is not something that Ghana is known for, and it is not going to happen in time soon. So I will rule that out of my options. But these things, global economic slowdown, domestic policy uncertainty, fiscal indiscipline, commodity price volatility, and exchange rate fluctuations, all of these have, as it were, are risk factors towards this stride that we've made on the Ghana Stock Exchange.
I see. But, well, maybe my final question would be to that looking forward, looking ahead, what strategies should investors consider to navigate this market landscape, really?
Well, for me, so it's more or less like asking me what strategy should I have? Diversify, and I've given you some sectors to consider. Focus on financial fundamentals. Look into, not just invest in a company. Look at their financial, their books of accounts. Long-term investment approach should be your attitude. Don't go into the stock market thinking about 1 week, 3 months. That's not a treasury market. That is not a short-term market. It's a long-term market. Know that the market is the stock market is a risky market. And so as you go in, have that at the back of your mind. And hedge against the risk, hedge against inflation and the rest of it. You see, the recent performance of the Ghana Stock Exchange has been impressive. driven primarily by the strong gains in the financial sector, particularly DCB Bank, Standard, SIC Insurance, ETF, and the rest of them. You see, with the index rising by about 27% year to date, and the financial stock index advancing by 40.6%, the market upward trajectory is a reflection of both investor confidence and economic recovery.
Right.
And for me, the performance stands out not only within Ghana, but also in comparison to the West African stock market. And it shows a level of resilience. And so for investors, maintaining a diversified portfolio, focusing on companies with strong fundamentals, and adapting a long-term investment horizon will be key for you to successfully navigate the evolving market landscape. Stay informed on both local and global developments as we bring you here on Zed. And I think that everything is going to be okay for us.
Right. Ima, thank you very much for your time. Really grateful for all the insights that you've shared.
You're welcome.
Please enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
All right. So that was Emmanuel Barting, our in-house economic analyst here at Zed. And it's been a very long conversation, but I believe that it's worth it. And you've taken some of the counsel he shared. And if you missed any part of this interview, then you may want to visit Facebook at ZFMGH, and then you can watch the playback. And also Zed Multimedia, we're on at Zed Multimedia on YouTube. So you could visit Zed Multimedia and also have a look at what we just discussed. Yeah. So we get into our roundtable discussion pretty soon, and my guests are already here and ready to have this conversation with me. We're talking about something very important, and we'll get into that pretty soon. But we'll take a quick break. When we return, my guest will have the conversation with me. Stay tuned.
Enya loko kranyebo ke Yehovah se batike eyose drumo pleke no jomo she mumo fwanti pi hu peta wose amelia de yesu la lenju mi dagbi I walk in the Lord they want no go yami mamu fenjoy to steady your life ake wobuoy adesani femo he woko be shake owoy. But forget the people no joy. Amenta wo shigbe mo shina eba mi. Asale ko ninje fiko ni wona sane dagbi shida bida kwe yo me pleke agbene mi shele. She agbene mi shele. O de mo fonya inshose. Yo me pleke agbene mi shele. She agbene mi shele. O de mo fonya inshose.
And brother end of the day, so why them a light a candle in the night? Then I'm a kind of meditate and I pray. Me no care who come put up a fight. Loser, fly, I'm a slogan. That's why I'm not afraid of no one. Yeah, no weapon can function. I got me know me no mention Satan. Never go do but fail. Console do and pay. I might let them one figure day. I them never know God bless my way. Sorry, yeah, I want to London to LA. Stone boy, I dey worry. Come on, Abana, you want to join my lorry? Yeah, I mean, you're going to better I'm on Mali. Got come out,
quick, Joe, make play, I'm going to be shele. She ain't going to be shele. Oh, them on point, and she'll say. Before Benny one more, Benny was sure. When they see you, they fake a smile. But behind you, they just a bore. But life is simple, not a fight. Plain and fair with nothing to hide. Do your best and live your life. With God, you go free survive. Give what belongs to Caesar to Caesar. Hey, or one day you go meet your meter. Oh, serve your God and don't follow the preacher. Hey, and believe in God is the only redeemer. Hey, my people, think before you talk. Talk to your heart before you walk. Walk in the mind with a purpose. When you chose, stay focused. In every endeavor you forbear cause. If it's not to profit, it's a fair loss. In everything we do, they just say jealous. We still run town and them know say we famous. Say,
This is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM. This is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM.
Yeah. Spirally Entertainment.
See this life where we to live. Me, I know say everyone they try to do good. This is crazy. But you punk, cause I you're weak. Somebody go fi hurt you, but baby he didn't even mean to. Cause soon pencil hunamunu. On you they be an unfanu. But challenge no one is perfect, so I they beg you forgive him if you can. Fache. Challenge my young canary as in a being in my dacho. Insi so be for Fache.
hearsay. If a man really loves you, we no go hurt you, but it be hearsay. Cause I you know when that love is the only reason why you can be hurt in the first place. Love is blind, love is pain. Or to that white shirt, I then I'll bet you stain. Minya why you musu ebiana when yanku no two for the nezen you more than what you saying. Yeah. Say man who make you cry. The mama now. Did I say man who go make you go smile? So no true love for them. So be from why they beg you forgive him if you can. Fache, fache, fache. Tell my young canary to no be in my dacho. Into so be from why. Fache, fache, fache. Forgive him if you can. So be from why they beg you forgive if you can. All they find Obama and Michelle Donald. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Saki, Tracy, Keisha, Gucci, Donald. Bonare, Adisi, Chapter, on you, Michi, Donald. Zono, commitment and we forgive it double. Yeah, because nothing good ever comes easy. Sanka fighter, they could have divorced in many ways. Wakun will win it, so on Yenafa Pam Niti. Was so when you pump and Uncle no Moshedi. Why Fika Banku, say who guess and I will condo. If you play games, you for learn how to console yourself. She hurt you where you won't go, but the enemy you know is better than a friend you don't know. She needs you and you need her. Teamwork's the only thing that can make the dream work. You did love and you really want to please her, then please say, forgive him if you can. Fache, fache, fache. Tell him I am canary to no be in my dacho. Into so we for fache, fache, fache. Forgive him if you can. So before I beg you forgive if you can.
All right, exactly 5 after 9. This is a business breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nitrebi Hammond. And it's time for us to get into a roundtable discussion for the day. And today we're diving into a bold and a game-changing idea, the proposed 24-hour economy policy in Ghana. Now, the government has announced that on the 1st of July, which exactly, I think about less than a week from now, is going to launch or roll out the 24-hour economy. What exactly happens when businesses operate around the clock? Could this be the key to higher productivity, job creation, and economic growth, or will it stretch our system and workforce too thin? I'm joined by three incredible guests. I have here in studio Dr. Felix Larry Esilfi. He is a development economist and executive director of IDER. Right, and also I have Agnes Cherwajima. She is HR business partner at ISAL, and also Nana Madina Ibrahim. She's an employment and labor law expert. And these are the three amazing people who are going to help me have this conversation this morning. Let me welcome them, and probably just start with the man this time. No ladies first. All right, Dr. Felix Larry Esilfi, you're welcome to the Business Breakfast on Zed.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you very much for making time to be here this morning. And also Madina Larry. Sorry, did I say Madina Larry? Forgive me. Nana Madina Ibrahim. She is an employment and labor law expert. Madina, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Good to see you.
No, I'm happy to be here again.
Yeah. So glad that you made time. And then Agnes, she's an HR business partner at ISAL. Agnes, you're welcome to the Business Breakfast on Zed.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here as well.
Good to have all of you. Well, there's a very important conversation we're going to have this morning. And I'll start with all of you. And I want to pick your thoughts on this. When we see 24-hour economy, what does this mean from your various perspectives? And I'll start with you, Dr. Esilfi.
Okay. So once again, thank you very much for having me here, and then a very good morning to your cherished listeners this morning. Yes, so looking at the current state of the Ghanaian economy as far as employment or unemployment is concerned, I think it has come to a point where Ghana as a country innovatively had to or has to devise some sort of means to be able to create opportunity in terms of employment or job creation for the teeming youth. And so the 24-hour economy couldn't have come in any other better time than this. By definition, 24-hour economy, just for the sake of the listeners who might not be familiar with the term or the concept, describes, an economic system or environment where businesses, services, or in more or less the business entities operate throughout the day and the night rather than the traditional working hours. And by concept, it is not just by extending working hours, but it is actually a paradigm shift that ensures that business activities go on uninterrupted. So that is what 24-hour economy is all about. Yes. Maybe one day I would like to give my sisters the chance to talk, and I will say something more. Yes.
But I'm going to come back to you. You made a point about it being time for us to get into. Is it really time? We'll talk about that very soon. But let me bring Madina into the conversation. Madina, tell me, from your perspective, when we say 24-hour economy, what does it mean?
Well, my opinion is not really far from what Doc has said. And then it really means trading continuous, throughout the 24-hour.
Right.
Whether, it includes the 9 shifts, it includes extended working hours, non-stop business.
Right.
But then what this means for government is that there's going to be more workers coming on board, meaning there's going to be more taxpayers and so more revenue for government.
Right.
And of course, the employer, they will expand their production, which means profits.
Yeah.
And of course, to the employee, we are looking at welfare. Can we have an act whatsoever that can protect us with this new policy that is on board?
I see. Very interesting things coming up already. Okay, let me come to you, Agnes. Agnes, let me hear your thoughts on the same question.
All right, so I'm happy to say that for the industry I am in, we have already started this thing and we've been doing it since. So for us, it's not a new thing.
Right.
All right, I would say it's not a new thing. The only thing, and I will say that it improves efficiency. There is high productivity and all that, and we serve a lot of markets, not just Ghanaian market or the African market. So because of time zones difference, we are able to get a lot of clients because they know we are ready, we are efficient to have workforce that will serve their markets for them at any time in the day and any day at all. So it's not just about the time, 24 hours, but also every single day. So 7 days in a week, 24 hours in a day.
So it means that the workplace doesn't sleep, essentially.
Not at all.
Right.
At any point in time, someone is working.
Working. Okay. All right. So you're going to tell us how that has, in terms of revenue and all of these things, you will tell us all of that. But let me come to you, Doc. Now, Doc, you are saying that it's time for us to get into it. But a lot of people disagree with you. Some people think that as a country, we are not ready for 24-hour economy. Some people think that there are things that we need to do before we can finally say that let's get into it. But I hear in China or so, before they started 24-hour economy, they had to, it was based on demand. So for instance, there are people that are looking for certain services at certain times that they are not getting. And so because of that, they want to introduce 24-hour economy. But here in Ghana, it feels like a policy that we are just introducing. We're just bringing something on board so that people can still continue to work. Is there a demand? Is there, there are a lot of things that come in there. So there are people that disagree with you. What do you have to say to that, Doc?
So partially, I will share in their sentiment. But you see, if you look at policy setup, no policy can actually take off having all the conditionalities 100% intact. So you need to, some way, somehow, weigh the situation on the ground, look at the prospect in terms of benefits, and then the disadvantages, and see whether it is actually time for you to kick it off. For me, I'm saying it is time because, you see, Ghana has so many opportunities within the West African enclave. It is described as the gateway to Africa. Why is it being described as such? Because politically, we've been able to stabilize this country for almost 30 years. And the West described this country as a country with the most reliable and sustainable political stability. That is number one. Number two, we have the human resource.
Right.
Every year, the universities are churning out more than 100,000 graduates, just at the undergraduate level. I mean, not to talk of the postgraduate and all of that. Aside that, you can look at the professional institutions and all of that. So we have all of that in place. In terms of raw materials or resources, let me put it this way, raw materials, we have it. We have cocoa, agriculture sector, we need to do 1 or 2 touch-ups to get it going and all of that. Yeah. So if I say the time is up, it is up because, you see, day in and day out, unemployment is soaring higher. And along the line, we even had, I don't know whether they are still in existence, unemployed graduate association and all of that.
I think it's dissolved now.
And my brother, the youth of this country are wasting off. So it is no better time for us to think outside the box than this time. So in terms of timing, I think it is okay. Yes, where I agree or I share in the sentiment of people who are saying that it's not yet time, is where we have to also look at the current, challenges that we have. My sister and I, backstage before the start of this discussion, she posed the question where I outlined some of the challenges that we have.
Okay.
That is where I think people who are saying it is not time should channel their energy at and ensuring that we push the government to do something about it. I don't know whether we are going to go step by step, or therefore I can jump. Then I can outline some of the challenges.
Maybe you can just outline them. We'll get into
For example, you see, for an effective 24-hour economy takeoff, infrastructure is the key.
Absolutely.
And one of the key.
So my question to you, not to cut you, do we have that in place?
We have, just that inefficiencies and political interference is what is actually creating the problem.
So there's a problem.
So, for example, the energy sector, we need electricity.
Right.
For a proper and efficient 24-hour takeoff, you need a reliable, sustainable, and cheap or affordable energy or electricity supply.
Right.
If you look at the current energy electricity mix or energy mix, the renewable, which globally every country is supposed to target about 10% of their energy generation to come from renewable energy sources. Ghana, we are doing just 2%. You understand? And so even the 8 hours, your energy sector in terms of electricity, you are not able to sustain it. How much more 24 hours? So that is where I share with them. But you see, it's not that our energy supply now cannot handle 24-hour economy. It can. Only if we deal with these infractions of, operational inefficiencies, technical inefficiencies, resource utilization or use inefficiencies, corruption, and then political interference. You understand? When we're able to deal with that, then we should be able to be better off. Because you see, as part of the 24-hour, economy policy, in its implementation, government can make it a policy that businesses that will open their doors for the implementation of the 24-hour economy, we can give them some subsidy to acquire solar energy systems without actually necessarily being on the national grid. That can be one of them.
Is a country financially
we are
resourced to be able to do that.
I have solar system in my house, and I spent just 2,000 cedis to acquire it. Let's assume that because it is for domestic use, I don't use much of things apart from TV and some stuff for children to play and all of that. I don't normally watch television, and then some other devices to help the woman in the house to be comfortable. Fine. So that is domestic, averagely. Now, industrial-wise, especially, and what I said is mainly for the SMEs. I'm not talking about the big companies, but for the SMEs that are willing to take off, we can actually give them a subsidy. I'm not saying government is going to bear everything, 100%. A subsidy for them to be able to acquire some form of cheap energy, for that particular purpose. Another aspect when we talk of infrastructure is the road networks. You see, the 24-hour economy has to actually target the real sectors of the economy. And the real sector of the economy, we talk about the component of economy that actually produce significant amount of goods and services. And agriculture is one of them.
Right.
We don't do much agriculture in our urban cities or in our cities like Accra, Kumasi, and all of that. Our agriculture agriculture activities take place from the rural areas, so the hinterland. So the transportation networks, we can do something about it. You understand? The actual administration started something about the rail sector expansion. We, government or governance is a continuum kind of process.
Yeah.
So this current administration should pick it up, look at the lapses that actually were confronted with in the actual administration, and see how best they can actually fine-tune it and improve on it, just so we can have access to those rail sector.
Right.
Another thing I also complain when it comes to the transportation network is that, as a country, we are not taking advantage of our big water bodies. From Volta region to the north, we have the lakes and all of that. And most of our agriculture activities take place in the north.
Yeah.
What are we doing? I have had the opportunity, with all humility, to travel to China and India, and they take advantage of what is called aquatic or water transportation system. Within 2 hours, they can transport food commodities from the far hinterland to the urban centers. We need to take, and it is actually one of the cheapest means of transportation when we are talking about that. So in terms of infrastructure, I've only tackled one, sector. But just before I learn from my colleagues to also step in terms of service sector and other sectors, we can look at what is called the communication, aspect of it.
Right.
Currently, you can bear witness with me that the service quality, and Madam is in that sector, they are into contact centers, right? Service qualities have actually not been the best. Internet facility have not been the best.
Absolutely.
24-hour economy. Places like China, Korea, India, and then New York, that is in terms of United States that we are trying to copy them. They don't joke with the technology, the tech aspect of it, because you see, it is the tech aspect that will drive everything.
Right.
We are talking about, cashless society where people will have to make payment via, electronic means. And you need the communication sector to be also robust. So the challenges are there, but it's not that we are incapable of handling them. It is the will that we need to actually handle them.
I see. Very, very, very interesting. I mean, so would agree that there are challenges.
Of course.
But you don't believe that we have to solve the challenges before we now roll out a policy. We can roll it out and be solving the challenges. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily, but I'll come back again.
But we're in this country and we heard about free SHS. A lot of people try to raise concerns. Hey, relax, let's do this. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have this. And we still went ahead to roll it out. Today, see where we have gotten
quickly,
to.
Let me come in. Just a second.
All right.
For every policy intervention, you start on a pilot basis.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Yeah.
I think people's perception is that when they launch it, it's going to be a massive rollout or a scale up. No. I have outlined, in fact, I've written extensively on that. Somewhere my first publication in BFT was on that.
Okay.
And I proposed in that particular article that, I beg your pardon, government can pilot this thing in Accra, Kumasi, and Tamale for starters. And then as time goes on, these challenges that you are talking about will unravel themselves. And then the means with which they can be addressed will also be known as far as this pilot process is ongoing.
Okay.
So it's not like government is going to roll out everything across the country. There is going to be a pilot process, and the pilot process will come out with the SWOT indicators. That is the strengths, the threat, the weaknesses, and then the opportunities associated with that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anyway, so let's continue the conversation. But I like your points you've raised. I mean, I know if it was another person from a different angle, they will hold you. But anyway, let me bring Madina into the conversation. Madina, do you think Ghana's workforce, you are a labor expert, do you think we are mentally prepared, we are legally prepared, and structurally prepared for such a shift?
Thank you so much. I was listening to Doc.
Yeah.
He kept mentioning infrastructure. Yeah. We need a system. We need infrastructure. We need technology. Yeah. But then who are the people going to use this infrastructure? Absolutely. He never mentioned that.
I left it because you are here.
It is we the workers.
Right, absolutely.
And so it means that we play an important role in all these 24-hour policy or shift system.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, it is going to bring more job employment. Yes, we have agreed. But then let's think about our welfare. What does this mean for the traditional worker whose mind is only suited to work in the morning? Now it means that we are going to have a 3 shift system. From 6 to 2, 2 to 10, 10 to 6. So me that I'm used to 8 to 5, now I'm adjusting. What does this mean? Fine, we have the Labor Act. The traditional Labor Act is there to cover what's there during the day system. It never factored a 9-shift system, never. I'm not saying that we don't have 9 allowances in there. Neither am I saying that it doesn't cover rest periods. It does. But then the 3 9-shifts or 3-shift model system, it doesn't cover, and that is where the problem is. I have had the time to look.
Sorry, not to cut you. I mean, they say that it is not for everybody, right? It is for unemployed people, just to be able to rule out. And Doc mentioned that the unemployment situation when he started talking. So, for instance, the 3 shift is not going to be the same people, of course. So somebody comes from morning to afternoon, and then other people come and continue. So do you get the point?
Only for the unemployed. This policy is for every worker. It covers every
yes,
worker.
But it is to allow the unemployed to come on board, isn't it?
Open up the economy to also rake in the
unemployed.
But it doesn't mean that
it is for just them. Yes, absolutely.
It's totally not for them. Because whether I like it or not, it will affect the already existing workers somehow. And that is the problem. That's the question we ask. Look, when you go out there and ask anybody, they will tell you that, the Labor Act, if they are coming on board, they're also going to be workers. And so they will be protected by the Labor Act. But this time around, the difference is in the schedule, the work schedule.
Okay.
And the act, do we have those acts to govern? I feel like the policy is ambiguous. It is good. The policy is forward thinking. Perfect. But then we need strong legislative, strong employment policies to protect worker welfare.
So by policies, by legislations, what exactly are you talking about?
Especially the extended hours, coming to work at odd hours, security wise. Who is talking about them? They are saying that are we going to have more police people? You are recruiting more people. Are we going to recruit more security service personnel? Like, we are saying that, tell us what is happening. We are happy. Look, this policy is good, but then how does it affect us? We are looking at the challenges that it poses as workers. We have to be worried. I am excited that, look, I'll be having a 3-shift system at my place. But then does that mean that, I have to come to work at night? What does that mean for my already work-life balance? Am I going to move? Maybe I'm a wife. So what does this mean for my family? I have other responsibility. I know some people will say, as a worker, you need to adjust. I am adjusting. I'm already adjusting. Right. But what can you as the government do to help to make it easy for me? That is our only concern. That is our only concern.
I see.
When it comes to 24-hour economy, that is our only concern.
So maybe if you can more specifically, what are some of the challenges you foresee for the labor? I mean, the workforce, really. What are some of the challenges, more specifically?
I think one challenge we are currently, to get it right, some of the businesses are doing what we call the 24-hour economy, 9 shifts. Okay, but then the challenge we are facing with them currently is benefit challenge and labor exploitation.
Explain.
So, for example, because we have high unemployment rates, some businesses use that to threaten workers. And so you come at night and then you are not getting night allowance. Now, your benefit is different from night allowance. Your normal salary is different from night allowance. Night allowance serves as a caution to motivate you for your comfort. You should be sleeping, but you are coming. You know, our minds traditionally work during the day. There's a difference. Working during the day and working at night, there's a huge difference. And so you're sacrificing that comfort. And so there should be some sort of motivation there. Give us a night allowance. Give us transportation allowance. It is not there. And when you complain, they tell you that, look, we have a lot of people ready to do this job. And it's not them. It's not the fault of the employer. Don't get me wrong. It is the current situation in the country. We have a lot of unemployed people. And so there are people willing to do the job you are complaining. It is only when they enter, then they realize that, Charlie, it's not easy. We should also cry. Like, they will also start raising these same challenges. And that is a perception out there. It's even a perception. It is actually working. And so if this 24-hour economy is not well positioned, let's move from talking about infrastructure and include employee welfare. That way we can conquer the challenge of exploitation of workers,
Right.
we can also conquer the challenge of what benefits security, among others. And so we are saying that include us in the conversation. Infrastructure, system, modernization, digitalization. Where is worker rights? Where are we? I hear they're talking about new employment policy. I saw it in the whole document talking about 24-hour economy, but then that's all it says. It didn't say what are the factors that it will cover, the new employment policy will cover. All it said was, we are bringing out a new employment act that will go line in line with the already existing labor acts. We love it, but we want to see what it entails.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. Well, if you just tune in, this is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nichwe Bihamon. This morning, we're having a conversation on the 24-hour economy and its impact on business dynamics. And I'm joined by three amazing people who are sharing their thoughts. And I have in studio Dr. Felix Larry. Silfi is a development economist and executive director of IDER, and also Nana Madina Ibrahim. She's an employment and labor law expert. You just heard her speak. And also Agnes Cherwa Jima. She's an HR business partner at ISAL, and she's also going to share her thoughts with us pretty soon. But Agnes, I'll come to you shortly because you are already rolling it out, and so I'll come to you very, very soon so that you can also share your perspective. But let me come back to you, Doc. Now let's talk about the benefits. What immediate gains could this particular policy bring to our economy in terms of GDP, in terms of employment and investor interest, really?
Just before I go on to that, I want to contribute a little bit to what my colleague here just spoke about. You see, the problem we are having, and I agree with her, is that, you see, government has not been able to carry us along as far as this policy program is concerned.
Why do you say that?
Because, you see, she's talking about worker welfare, labor act and all of that. 6 months in administration, or in their administration, they have not been able to even organize one symposium or forum to actually orient people about the concept of the 24-hour economy. That is number one.
Okay.
You will agree with me that we also have an institution called National Commission for Civic Education. And the point that she made is actually about the social aspect of it.
Right.
For an economy that is new to such a concept, by now government should have empowered NCCE to be able to do some sort of education using the social media, the traditional networks, like yourselves, and then the TV stations and all of that. That has not been done. So it's more or less like vague to the ordinary Ghanaian. And that is what I will caution this particular administration to take a look at. Because you see, if you don't carry your citizens along, they will not be able to understand the intention you have behind the whole policy. And that is where your political opponent take advantage and then muddy the waters.
Right.
So it is a caution to them. Number two, they should be able also to come out and tell us that they have been able to do some sort of scientific empirical study, to tell us the current situation as far as those who have already ruled it out, like the health sector, my sister's sector, and then the security sector and all of that. A study ought to be done. I stand to be corrected. If that has been done, I'm not aware. But in my humble opinion, that study is very, very key. And then there should also be a release of a comprehensive policy document, picking who are the stakeholders, what engagement has been going on, and what engagement ought to go on in order to ensure efficient and effective implementation of the policy.
Right.
So that is that. Now, in terms of benefit, that is to your question.
Yeah.
My brother, I have been able to outline a number of benefits. One, there's going to be an increase in productivity. And productivity here will contribute directly to our economic growth. So GDP is going to actually soar up. Now, yesterday, I tried with my team of analysts in my office, using data from the Ministry of Finance and some data from the IMF and the World Bank. We were able to actually quantify some sort of expected contribution of the 24-hour economy to the growth of the economy. In fact, if it is rolled out, for every policy, if it is rolled out, you cannot actually tell the impact from the immediate point, what you will see is the effect. There's a difference between effect and impact. Most of the times we use them almost interchangeably, but they are not the same.
Explain.
If I put a cup of water here and then I drop a mud substance into it, the color of the water will change.
Right.
That immediate change in color is what is called effect. You understand?
Okay.
But if somebody takes the water and consumes it, the person is going to have health issue. That health issue is what is called the impact. So they are different. I hope you get the point. So
not quite.
Okay. So more or less what I'm trying to say is that the effect is that immediate change you see when you trigger, a policy situation. That immediate change. So for example, more people will gain employment. You understand?
Okay.
And all of that.
Yeah.
And you will see businesses operating beyond the normal hours. That is the effect you will see as a result of the policy. But the impact is what we are talking about.
Okay.
Productivity will increase because the idle hours that, if you look at the manufacturing sector, the machines, some machines are designed to work 24/7. But in this part of the world, we use them for just 8 hours and they are idle. You understand?
Yeah.
So when we use them for that particular space of time, productivity will increase. No two ways about it. Now, we are also going to see a situation whereby there will be massive job creation, such that even people who are working now will do some hours here and move to other areas and go and do hours. Some few hours like we see in the United States and other countries. If you ask our colleagues and brothers and sisters who have traveled and they are currently there working, they will tell that I do 4-hour shift here and then go and do it. That is the essence of 24-hour economy. Now, in terms of the GDP, the calculation that we did, in 3 years, in economics, we say holding all other factors constant. That is, if all conditions are perfect as we expect it. In 3 years, we will see the industry, which comprise of the manufacturing and all of that, contributing about 0.9 billion United States dollars to our economy in 3 years. That is, here I'm trying to say 2028. In terms of the service sector, and in our economy, it is service sector driven.
Yeah.
It used to be
That's
agriculture,
true.
and a service sector took over.
Yeah.
Now, that will contribute in 3 years about 1.3 billion United States dollars to our economy if we are able to implement this policy effectively. Then the agriculture sector I made mention of will give us 0.2 billion United States dollars for 3 years. And in total, we are going to get about 2.4 billion in terms of our GDP growth as an economy. And then, because of time, I'm not going to talk about in 5 years' time, but we did that particular computation also here. So GDP growth is going to be very, very massive. Job creation. And then we're also going to have enough foreign direct investment. You see? And here I'm not talking about portfolio investment. Portfolio investment is where a foreigner brings in money to buy shares in an existing company. That is just portfolio funding. But foreign direct investment is where foreigners, bring money from their countries into your country to build businesses or even buy already existing companies or businesses and then expand them. And you understand? Now, what they are doing is that they are bringing in capital, isn't it? So 24-hour economy will actually open up the economy.
Right.
You understand? And when it opens up the economy, these foreign direct investments will actually troop in. So the benefits are so much, and then Ghana will also be able to compete effectively in the global market. You understand? Because, for example, once we start the 24-hour economy, what is going to happen is that the cocoa sector, Ghanaians are very creative. When the situation presents itself, and I'll give you a typical example. During the COVID, you saw how creative people became. You understand? In terms of surviving. Now, when the 24-hour economy comes, and the agricultural sector is booming, all sectors are booming, you will see that we'll be able to produce beyond what we need or demand for consumption. And so Ghanaians will begin to think of means of creating businesses that will try to add values to whatever we are producing in excess and think of even exporting. You understand? So with the prevailing macroeconomic conditions that we are enjoying in terms of the CD appreciation and all other things, if government deepens whatever policy that they are rolling out for us to see these evidences, and then they are able to address some of the challenges that all of us here have been able to outline as far as the 24-hour economy is concerned, we are going to see a massive, the massive growth within the economy in terms of GDP, in terms of job creation, in terms of Ghana's competitiveness at the international market, and then so many other benefits. Because of time, I have outlined about 13 here. If you only permit me, I can just pick some of them. Otherwise, I have to give the opportunity for my sisters.
Okay. If you can just mention some of them, mention some of them. Then I come to Agnes.
Yes. So quickly, we are going to see, increased foreign direct. I've stated that. We are going to see a boost in our tourism. Okay. There's going to be the tourism sector. It's going to be, and when we talk of tourism sector, it also includes the hospitality sector. Right. So hotels, you understand? When we have 24-hour, a night economy, foreigners coming in, people coming from other parts of the world.
But hotels are doing that already.
Yes, I'm talking. Yes, so but it's going to actually, they are going to have a lot of, their activities are going to be boosted, because you see, I can move from here to Kumasi to go and do business. And after doing whatever I'm doing, maybe I wouldn't want to return. I'll have to get a hotel to lodge in. Foreigners coming in here, they know that, Ghana runs a 24-hour economy, so I can go to pub, I can travel to any tourist center, maybe to have a fun and whatever. And when I finish, I can have hotel, or whatever here. And then food, restaurants, I can eat at any time that I want, and all of that. So tourism is actually, and then we are going to see increase in government revenue, because you see, when more people are employed, they are going to pay. You understand? Pay as you earn. Taxes, we all here pay some of that.
I think Medina mentioned
and then
that.
Companies will also, because they have been able to expand their operations, they are going to get more profit, because in this case, they are able to produce more and sell more. Is that not the case? And so whatever taxes that the government charge on their profit is also going to increase. And as a result of that, government revenue is also going to increase.
I see. Okay. All right. I like the fact that, you are coming from the Institute of Development and Economic Research. So some of the things you're saying are based on research. I want to believe, right? Okay. So we'll move on. Let me come to you, Agnes. Now, Agnes, your company has been running to the 24-hour kind of economy, or maybe you are in 24-hour operation, really. How has it improved your output and your profitability?
Okay, so as you asked the question, they were responding. I was just listening to them. For the industry I am in, we don't see it as a policy. We see it as a demand of the job. Okay, it's a service company, let me put it that way. And so per the demand, customers are calling in, day out for services. And you can't restrict the person when they should call for support.
Right.
Because, for example, I don't want to mention the companies we work for. However, there's a particular company we work for, and we all use it. It's a utility company. You need that service almost every time. Okay. So assuming that I have a challenge with that system, at midnight or at 1 a.m., does that mean I have to wait until 8 a.m. when people report to work before I can get support to do whatever I also need to do? So that's why I'm saying that to us, we don't see it as a policy, but a demand. However, for other companies or other businesses that we have, they will see it as a policy because it's a new thing. And the Ghanaian has to be oriented, just as all of them have mentioned, because people are tuned to working 8 to 5 or 7 to 4 or 8 to 4, that kind of thing. So it's not easy. Even those of us who are already in the industry, when we are having recruitment, even though we send job synopsis to people, educating them on the nature of the work, we state everything that, we do 24/7 operation, that's how we call it. Okay. Not 24-hour economy. 24/7 operation. We state everything. Yet people come for interview and we are asking them, can you work any day, any time, 25th December, every holiday, can you work? And they are like, You see, so it's like, even though we sent even the information to them, they still come in and they are like, it's strange to them. Yes, so what I will have to say now is that the Ghanaian has to be oriented on this for us to accept it. Okay, but those of us who are already in the industry, we know that this is how it is. So we do well, there are some things within the company that we don't do at certain times. But the main operation that we do it 24/7.
24/7. Yeah, so more specifically, did you? So initially, were you? I mean, did you start a company rolling out 24-hour operation, or it was at a point that you introduced that?
We just started. We run contact centers or call centers, depending on what we are doing for the client. It can be call or contact center, and so that is how the operation is.
Okay.
So except certain services that is not call center, but other things.
Okay.
Then maybe IT solution. Then it's that one. When we have to visit client's office and all that, then we have to go when the client is also in operation.
Right. Okay.
So that's it.
That's okay. And I want to know whether it has improved your profitability. Have you been making money compared to when you didn't used to run that?
Well, like I said, that's how our operation is. So that's how it started. However, I would say it has increased our productivity and revenue to some extent because of the way we run, we are able to serve international market, no matter the time zone.
Wow.
Yes, because we are working at any point in time. So let's say we are serving the American market, and they are working even their time, 8 to 5. It still fits in because we can still provide support for some of their companies. So we run contact center for some American companies, some UK companies.
Wow.
Yes, and so when their time changes, especially for UK, our time also changes. So people are scheduled to work 8 to 4, depending on the time. So currently, they are doing 8 to 5. At a certain time, they will be doing 7 to 4. And we have people who, it's not just that. So we have those who also work on the afternoon shift who come in at 12 and close at 9. Then we have people coming at 9 and close the next day at 6. And depending on the clients we are serving. So I would say that if we were not doing that, these people who have different time zones from us will not bring their businesses to us. And that is a loss to the company and then to the country as a whole.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. And we talk about productivity a lot. Marina, maybe I should come to you. If productivity goes up, does that always mean workers earn more? And I don't want to go into your company. That's what I'm asking Marina. So does it mean they earn more and they are better protected?
Equally means that workers are earning more. No. It means that workers are working, but it doesn't mean that by virtue of productivity being high, their revenues will be high or their salary will be high. No, it depends on other factors.
Like
Exactly.
what?
It depends on other factors, internal factors, of course. Appraisal, who is really working, is there a 10%, or it depends on the condition of service in the company.
Okay.
And so, no, it doesn't go together. But all I would want to say is the 24 hours working. Some companies are already practicing it in Ghana.
Right.
The only difference now is that now it's a government policy. And so you're going to have some sort of protection. Companies are going to have some sort of protection. Okay. And so we are saying that if companies are going to have protection, employees also need to be protected. That is all we are saying. It's good. A KPMG and a UNDP report says that when it was, I don't think it was a pilot program, but I think it was a research that they did. 72% of Ghanaians were excited about the policy.
Okay.
So imagine, and these Ghanaians are workers. They were excited about the policy. But then the same 72 workers raised concerns about security, raised concerns about benefits, raised concerns about transport, among others. And so it's not like we don't like the policy. We like it. But we are saying that, please, in as much as the systems are working, the infrastructure is there, what about the workers? Who is talking about them?
I see. All right. Let me still stay with you for a few minutes, Madina. I want to know, would a 24-hour economy require that we change or we make some adjustments to our current labor laws?
In my opinion, most definitely. Like I mentioned earlier, the Labor Act, the intention of it was not to cover workers that even work throughout the night.
Okay.
If you look at it deeper, because you see that it protects workers' rights, but then it's for the traditional worker, formal workers. And even the Labor Act doesn't cover some aspects of informal work. That we haven't even finished talking about that topic. And now we are going to talk about inclusively doing 24-hour informal and formal workers. Of course, in my opinion, I think we need proper labor legislation that will cover this policy.
Okay.
but we are only hearing about, yes, we will bring it up, but we don't know what is inside. And so, yes, we need to. It's supposed to be a tripartite conversation.
Right.
No only government to say, I'm bringing the policy out. No, include employers, include employees. Together, the three of us, let's have that conversation. After all, my work affects the company. The company's work also affects government. And so it's supposed to be a tripartite communication. Let's talk together and bring out, a policy that will protect everybody. And so, yes, it needs amendment.
We need some amendment.
Yes.
Okay. You want to say something,
Yes.
Doc?
So she always opens up a new topic. You see, it all borders on project implementation manual. You understand what she's saying? If government, as at now, even before the launch of the project, has been able to put together a project implementation or policy implementation manual, then most of the issues that she's raising might have been answered. But because we don't have that blueprint document, it is vague. You understand?
Yeah.
And again, it is a caution to the government of Ghana. And it is not peculiar to only this government. Government after government keep making this mistake. For example, Planting for Food and Jobs started, and we never saw any project or policy implementation manual that will actually spell out government intentions, the objectives within the short term, medium term, and then the long term. And then what are the actors within the chain and all of that. We didn't see that. I remember my professor, good morning, Professor Daniel Bruce Sapon, and myself, we made a very serious argument, and one professor, Edward Bo Onoma, they are all at the University of Ghana.
Okay.
We made a serious case about the Planting for Food and Jobs, but we are in an economy where research is not really respected by the policy, makers and all of that. And so, more or less, it was actually neglected. And we saw the outcome of the the Planting for Food and Jobs. The same with the One District, One Factory. A very brilliant policy. But you see, because they are in a rush, we promised, let us launch it for them to know that we are acting on it. After launching, what happens? All this noise that we are making now, if we don't put proper blueprint in place in terms of the policy document itself, then policy implementation manual or plan in place, after the launching, the conversation will just die. And then it will be business as usual. You will only hear political actors and commentators debating in studios and then fighting each other. You promised this and you didn't do the what. But the core people who are supposed to benefit from the project, they are actually not getting that. So what my sister is saying, was trying to put across is actually key. That what is inside it for the ordinary worker.
Right.
You see? And I have also not seen, maybe correct me if that has happened, and it wouldn't be fair if it has indeed happened and some of us did not know. Has government ever engaged the private sector since they actually assumed office? I am aware that Honorable Dr. Gusitano, Tando, is the one who is in charge. He's the advisor for this particular policy at the presidency. I have not seen any engagement between government and the private sector. The labor unions, I have not seen any engagement. My sister, you can correct me if you have, because you are already in that particular circle before. Even the private sector that is already implementing 24-hour, she said it is not a policy to them. It is a demand that they have, which they are trying to address. Has government ever met you? Has there been any communication? Because you see, government is not a reservoir of all the ideas. Absolutely. Sometimes you need to actually meet these actors and then tap from their experiences, the challenges that they are facing, economically, socially, and operationally. And then you try to, infuse them into the policy with the means of addressing them so that when you start for the nation, you will not face the same challenges. Look, the security that we are talking about, we know the amount of logistics that the police are having, our security services are having. The logistics are actually not enough. Even for the normal system that we are running now, it's not enough. That is number one. Number two, do you have street light in your area? I'm sure you don't have. I stay at Oyarifa. There is supposed to be street light from Adenta Barra. In fact, even from the central part of Accra straight to even Ebri and beyond. You understand? But just so I refer here, right after Adenta barrier, the place is dark. If your lighting system, when you are driving the night, is not good, you may even knock somebody down who is crossing the road. You see, all these things contribute to the security aspect that she's putting across. Absolutely. So, you see, the policy is good. Most of the times, you see, our political parties, when they are campaigning, they come out with good policy proposals. But when it comes to implementation, because their manifestos were not built on scientific evidence, it was just developed out of the whims and the caprices and the sentiment of the citizenry. Oh, we have seen that the current administration is not doing, we will want to do that. They have just stated it. They come into office, when it comes to implementation, they find themselves wanting, because they have not done any background study, feasibility study, or any form of study to be able to know the tangibles and then the acting component that ought to go into such a policy. So I agree with her. Government should open up. I am not expecting a launch where we don't have any document, any policy document, any policy implementation manual that will guide some of us. You know, those of us who are analysts, economic policy analysts, public policy analysts, financial policy analysts, you know, legal policy analysis and then labor policy analysis and all of that. You understand? To be able to buy in with the government and see where government is going with us, so that we can make contribution from the bench to help government shaping the project or the policy.
Okay. All right. 7 minutes to the top of the hour. This is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Nitra Bihamon. This morning we are talking about the impact of the 24-hour economy on business dynamics. And I'm joined by three amazing people who are sharing their insights. Dr. Felix Larry Esilfi is a development economist and the executive director of IDER, and also Nana Madina Ibrahim is an employment and labor law expert, and Agnes Chewa Jima, she's an HR business partner at ISAL. And I would love to hear from you. If you have a message, you can text me on WhatsApp 0544321019, 0544321019, or you can give me a call on 03039566641, 03039566641, and we get to give you the opportunity to share your thoughts. We are streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Please do well to engage our post. You can drop a comment and I will read them for you. All right, let's continue the conversation. Our time is fast spent, but we'll try and touch on a few things before we go. Today, we'll do, I'll speak to the producer, we'll do some small extended session here because it is a very important conversation. Okay, let me come back to you, Agnes. Now, Agnes, you are already rolling the policy. You're doing something similar to what government has proposed. And I want to know, walk us through some of the key adjustments you've had to make in terms of your logistics, utility, security, and staffing. What did it take to go 24/7?
Thank you. So I'll say that because infrastructure-wise, we are not really there. When we are recruiting, we have to consider locations of these individuals or candidates. It's very, very paramount because we are assuming you are on a night shift, like he mentioned, and you stay at Oyarifa, and my office is at, let's say, Accra Mall. We are looking at people who live around, so that even if I close at 9, I can easily go home without any security issues.
Very thoughtful.
Yes, that's one. We also look at per the demand. Sometimes because of your skill set, when I talk about skill set in the contact center or call center, I mean the language you speak. Maybe you need to be scheduled at a particular time to work. So there are some people that no matter their situation, you have to schedule them at night or at afternoon where they will close at, let's say, 12 or 11. We have to provide them with transportation. And what we do is that we have a corporate boat. So you order on our platform and the boat sends you home. But that is cost to the company. You're getting its cost. So assuming we had a very good transportation system that is already running 24/7 as we are talking about, we wouldn't have to do this boat because it's expensive, especially around that time. So even this one, we consider people who live around so that it doesn't become so much cost to the company. So we are considering your location before we are employing you.
Okay.
So you may have all the qualifications, but based on where you live, community 25 or whatever, you are not likely to get it because, because, I'm sorry it has to happen that way, but because we are looking at your safety to work and back and all that. And other thing is electricity, for example.
Right.
Yes, you know so we always have a standby generator, or yes, we always have it, and it's automatic. Because the moment we don't have power, it means that there's no operation.
Right.
Meanwhile, we have clients we are working for or working with, and it's based on what we do that we are being paid.
Right.
And I mean, if a client has given you a contract that you do this, you do that, and there's power cut, and your excuse is that there was power cut in my country, it's not,
right.
you can't mention it's unheard of.
Yeah.
So these are some of the challenges, and I like the transportation part you mentioned. Yes, because some people live close. However, there are no street lights. People's bags have been snatched. We go through a lot. Sometimes when it happens like that, we have to change the person's shift immediately, because
right.
the trauma alone. My phone has been stolen, my bag has been snatched at the point of knife or whatever. So yes, it happens. It happens to our employees.
So that's
serious. It happens. So security-wise, and in terms of transportation, I don't think we are there yet. Some industries that we are already in, like the service industry, the healthcare system, security agencies, yeah, we are already in it. But I'll still recommend that the government fuel or put in a lot of effort or a lot of things that will make us do it in a better way, then it can be extended to other industries or other operational services or other companies. Because like school, I don't know how school, for example, we can do 24/7. It's possible, but then what are the things we have in place to do that, so that even crèche or preschool can go to school? Because my mother works on a night shift. Maybe she wants me to go to school on a night shift, so that in the day all of us are in the house. Or I don't know how that one is going to play out.
Very interesting. But I mean, all of these things come at a cost to the company.
Yes.
Doc, do you think that government, I mean, should be taking up some of these things if we roll out the 24-hour economy?
Implementation of the policy wouldn't come without government actually having to have some fund in place for that. In fact, one of your questions is about fiscal and monetary policy or system support.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the response I have for that is that, you see, as far as fiscal support is concerned, government will have to create a fund for especially the SMEs that want to actually take advantage of this particular system or policy. And I wouldn't advise government to go in and set up a secretariat the way we like setting. You see, 24-hour economy is a system, it's an economic system, and it has to be automated. All government needs to do is to put the policy variables in place. That's all. You don't need any, secretariat where you say, if you want to do 24-hour economy, go here and register and what have you. That will bring in what is called in political economy, it's called rent seeking. Rent seeking in the sense that only the political actors and their cronies will have advantage of those registration and all of that. And before you say Jack, some people are even making illicit money out of it. So government can actually work with Exim Bank. You understand? We already have Exim Bank created by the first tenure of this particular administration, current administration. And we have heard in the media that even the ex administration, some of them even went for loans and they were not able to plant the maize and all of that. Now, government can put a special fund over there for businesses to access them for some of the things that you are talking about at a very soft interest, just to enable businesses to be able to have the free room to be able to cater for all these things. In terms of monetary policy aspect, we can look at situation whereby the exchange rate regime, the inflation regime, and all, because all these things affect businesses, interests on capital and all of that, ought to be managed in such a way that for me wanting to expand my operation beyond the traditional 8 hours, it will bring in, I will definitely require some additional capital for me to be able to do that. So what are some of these, variables? What is government actually doing to address some of these things? Access to, cheap capital. And this one, it shouldn't be from the banks, because the banks are not Father Christmas, They cannot give you loan below a particular interest that they can also get something or some sort of comfortable situation from.
Right.
But the government can deliberately set up a special fund with the Exim Bank, to be able to do that, and then rather set up, multi-sectorial kind of committee, not like I said, not a secretariat, but a committee to monitor. And here I will propose, some representative from the Bank of Ghana, representatives from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, if I've mentioned the ministry's name very well, representatives from the Ministry of Finance, from the private sector, from the labor union, where, they will actually monitor the system, see how the policy implementation is going, pick out the bottlenecks, and propose to government how these bottlenecks can be addressed. On periodic basis, you understand?
Yeah.
So that ought to be done, or we need that particular thing to be in place. So to respond to your question, this policy cannot be run without government putting some funding in place. It is not possible because, like she's saying, it brings in a lot of operational and overhead costs, to the company. And companies already are operating within a particular limit of capital. And so to be able to extend or expand their operations beyond the normal hours, they will need some sort of additional funding support from government, at least subsidized at a highly subsidized, interest rate.
Right. Okay. Let me come to you, Madina. Now, do you think the government needs to put in some trainings for workers, really, maybe incentives as well for businesses, just like Doc was trying to say, as they are transitioning to this model?
This policy is not a small policy. It is huge, and it's going to entail a lot of resources from governments. Yes, reskilling is important, upskilling is important, upgrading is important, and you have to do it. I mean, they are bringing new sorts of workers, so they need to go through training. And we have types of training. The cheapest of it is on-the-job training. And they need to, so yes, I believe they have to be trained. Let's talk about, I know the ports, MPS is already doing this 9 shifts. And so, their work is a bit technical. You can't just come and then immediately start on the training. It's not like administrative.
Right.
And so you need some level or some sort of training before you can start. So yes, this policy is going to take a lot of resources from government.
Right.
And so I'm not an economist, so I do not know where we are going to get the money to implement this policy. And to think that it is starting...
Maybe doctor will have to tell us.
To think that it is starting in a couple of days, but we still do not know where we stand. Sorry. Now there's a policy or some sort of a document in the media or on the net, and it spells out what they intend to do. And all these things you're talking about, you needing government to help, they stated it in the policy that they are going to give incentive, tax incentive especially, to companies that are already doing it or want to come on board. Not only tax incentive, they're ready to support you with so many things, electricity wise, so many advantages for coming on board as a private business. But then we are not seeing it, that's it.
But to whether it is really going to...
We don't know. And in fact...
What policy document is that? Is it from government?
I think
no, this is from the...
It's from the current administration.
I think prior to the election. Or that's not...
Prior to the election, this is what they brought. And they said that they were going to bring out a thorough blueprint just right after the manifesto, but I've still not come across anything like that.
So this one is not a policy document.
This
is just explaining how we're going to do it. As a political party.
This means that they are aware. They know. But then we are yet to see them actually practice it. I can't wait though.
And you see, for such a policy, I will also be shocked if government has not actually studied international best practices. Because Ghana is not the first economy to actually implement it for our economy. We have New York City, which is normally referred to as the city that never sleeps. China is there, what have you. So by now, I will also want to believe that government has done due diligence to study their models and see how best they can contextualize it within the confinement of our economic system. If that has not been done, I'll be highly disappointed.
I mean, not to cut you, but then in this document, they stated it. They stated it, and it shows that they are aware, because they stated USA, Germany, UK, the percentage of the implementation of 24-hour economy there. And so it means they are aware. But then because they are not communicating properly, for this document, if I didn't go to research, I don't think I would have found it in any way. And so, yeah, we need a lot of education on it. And CCE needs to come on board as well. I don't think government is communicating enough to us. Thinking of, for the fact that we are starting on the 1st of July, there's just so much silence around the 24-hour policy. And I'm happy that ZFM has taken it upon themselves.
Well, thank you very much. We'll try and see if we can touch on a few things and then we'll go because of time. I mean, we've talked about infrastructure readiness already, and we all know that we need the roads, we need the energy, public transport, security, and all of these things. We've talked about all of them. Madina, maybe because you're a labor person, how do we ensure worker safety, especially for women commuting at night? Maybe if you can touch on that.
It is very important. Meaning, for me, if you ask me, I would say that it will not be fair for you to exclude women. And so you need to include them. And so you need to create a safe working environment for them. Imagine I have a child, but then I need to come to work. So am I going to have a daycare at work to take care of my child whilst I work without any disturbances? This is what we should be talking about. And I'm a lady or a woman, I'm going back home at night. Would there be any sort of security? I'm rest assured that, I'm well protected outside, not only at work, outside. And so I think that our security agencies also need to be enforced. If we are saying that we are rolling out a 24-hour economy, then it should be the entire economy, including the security services. If you're employing more workers in government agencies, they employ more security people so that we feel protected. Let's not forget people with disability as well. It is an all or holistic policy, all inclusive. And so in as much as we are taking care of women that have children, we should also think about people with disability. Is it okay for them to commute at night or at odd hours? What are we doing about it? And so I think government should also look at it.
Look at that.
And in looking at it, you can't do it alone. Have conversation with the parties involved. Have conversations with the parties involved so you can learn from them. And then, I mean, we're all learning from each other. We can come out with a conclusive document with no challenges whatsoever.
Okay, right. Let me come to, let's talk about the sectoral impact for a few minutes. And Doc, yes, what sectors of the economy are most ready, I mean, in your opinion, to thrive under 24-hour economy?
So I would say the real sectors. And in terms of readiness, I think the service sector is easier to start than the manufacture. Of course, in terms of ranking, the service sector, followed by the manufacturing sector, and then agriculture will follow. So in terms of the service sector, we can easily talk about, sectors like the trade and commerce, information and communication technology, financial and insurance services. The banks can operate that easily. Of course, they have, some of them have even be able to use technology to already operate 24-hour economy. You see the banking app. I can withdraw money at any time. I can now even send money from my Momo to my bank and vice versa and all of that. That is already there. You understand? The automated teller machines, the ATMs are really doing that. So the service sector is there. The real estate, and then the hospitality, the education. She made mention of kindergarten, whatever. That low level is not going to be possible. But in terms of the secondary to the tertiary, we can use technology where, I let my employees, the junior ones who come to enroll on to Oxford University, Harvard, and they have free online courses that is self-paced. So the lecturers will put the videos over there with your test and all of that. So you go and do that. Education system can do that. The health sector is already doing that. So there's nothing much to talk about.
But there needs to be enhancement in the health sector.
Exactly.
Because there are times you go to the hospitals.
Enhancement is mainly on the welfare of the workers, as she actually alluded to. It's very, very important. And then logistical wise and security and all the challenges that we have actually outlined. In terms of the industry, mining is very, very important. Mining, some of the big mining companies are already doing 24-hour because they go for night shifts and then they do that. We can also talk about the quarrying sector. I mean, we can look at all these things. And then construction and real estate. I don't know how it's going to be done, but it's also possible. But like I said, all these sectors, there need to be strategic selection of component and then piloting of the policy taking place over there, just to study the terrain and the dynamics under each of the rail sectors and see how best, the policy can be fine-tuned to suit the demands of each of the sectors. So in terms of the sectors that are yet to benefit, these are the 3 key sectors. We talk about the industry, agriculture, and then the service sector.
Right.
Very, very key. I've heard the Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying that we want to do 24-hour service. I don't think it's going to be 100% possible, because you see, until we automate some of the things, most of the things, but 90% of the activities, it's not going to be completely possible, because that 24-hour economy they are talking about is about the low level where you pick a form and you fill and what have you. You understand? But in terms of approval, we can design the forms in such a way that if you are not be able to provide certain information, the approval, you cannot even proceed. I hope all of us here have filled online forms before. Sometimes there are information that if you provide it doesn't conform to what will warrant approval, it will not even, you cannot even submit. Right. All these things can be done. There may be, in terms of biometric and what have you. You see, if Ghana has been able to do proper data infrastructure, where we can concatenate data from the NIA with various sectors, it would have helped us, because I have my national identification card. All of us here, I believe we have. My bio was taken. Do I necessarily have to go to the passport office to provide my biometric data before I can be issued passport? Or do I have to go to DVLA to provide my biometric before my license can be issued? If we have been able to synchronize or concatenate data, multi-sectorial or intersectorially, we should be able to have this thing easily done. So that is there. Right. I have also seen the GNPC saying that, you see, organizations or public institutions where approvals by bosses are needed. Are we going to say that we are going to appoint more than one boss so that they can also run 24-hour shift? We need to have. So I am focused on the real sector, and the major pillar is the private sector.
Right.
So that is what we are supposed to
do. Okay, all right. So we'll wrap up now. Madina, culturally, do you think Ghanaians are ready to work or patronize late?
Culturally, in my opinion, we are not there unless we have systems in place. Okay. Because the Ghanaian mind is tuned in such a way that I only work at this particular time. Yeah. And at this time, it's for this particular thing and family. But now we are bringing a cultural shift. Right. And so it goes beyond, this is just a document. Implementation matters. Psychological implementation matters. Training matters. Education matters. You can't just put it out there that, look, you're starting your work schedule now, just like that, and you expect me to adjust immediately. It is going to be difficult. Right. That is a recipe for disaster. I will come to work, but I will not concentrate. Right. Because psychologically, I'm not ready. And so please, it needs a lot of work. A lot of work. We are not ready. Psychologically, we are not. Ready. I see that, look, the 24-hour policy, do not get me wrong, it is a bold vision. It is actually good. But it shouldn't be just there. It should carry everybody along. Right. Everybody should be part. It will not be fair if Ghana is working 24/7, but its workers is suffering 24/7. It's not fair.
Okay, I like how you put it. All right, Agnes, let me come back to you. What do you say to other business owners who are considering this model, but they are worried about it, probably cost, burnout, demand, and all of that? What would you say to them?
So what I have to say is that, yes, just as we've talked a lot about this, we have to do it in a gradual process. Okay, so just how we started with the service provider, people who provide services and those ones, I think we can zoom it in gradually in order to bring on board other companies, because like you just mentioned, we cannot say immediately all companies are coming on board, we are doing 24/7. In some sectors, it may not even be feasible. Exactly, thank you. It may not be feasible because what am I coming to do at that time? Right. So it has to be a gradual process. Okay. When we have all the infrastructure, all the necessary things, all the requirements that we need in order to be operational within the 24 hours a day and 7 days in a week, then we roll it out gradually. And also, as we are rolling it out, we are involving everyone by orienting the Ghanaian mind, because I know there are people, even in our place where we even send George synopsis and explain that this, and people come for interview, and somebody told me that, as for me, by 6 p.m., my body shuts down. I cannot work. So look at a Ghanaian who is looking for a job, unemployed Ghanaian, young, who is looking for a job, is saying that. So how much more those of us who are already in the system and we are used to working 8 to 5 or 7 to 4 or 8 to 4, and then we are changing. Someone who is looking for a job, you've been home for over 2 years.
When we say things like that is what leads to exploitation.
Yes. That's
what I'm saying. The uncles are there. They can call an uncle and then they can get some
support. You've been home for over 2 years after national service looking for job. This is entry level job. At least take it and start something.
No, but that is also how that's
at all.
My body shuts down at 6 p.m.
That's the first thing, exactly. And it's good they know themselves.
You see, what they are saying, our education sector should begin to orient the young, people coming out of our educational institutions on some of these things. Because 24-hour economy means that you don't have a body part shutting down at a particular time.
Oh, no, because you do.
No, you see, the point of the matter is that, you see, the culture, as she said, if you are 18 years and you are made to pay bills, your body will not shut down. You understand? But a situation where you are even 35 and you are staying with your parents, and then you battle your younger ones for toothpaste and what have you, and nobody cares. Electricity bill is being taken care of. This is where we have some of these kind of, bad attitude of of our young people towards work. How can you tell me that somebody looking for a job, your body system shut down at 6 p.m. 6. And so you cannot work? Be in the Western world, then you will see what happens.
No, but that's him.
Yes. And then,
but you should be able to respond. To speak for that person.
I don't know. Listen, as humans, we all have our limits.
Absolutely.
Can do things, okay. And then the group of employees that are coming now are different from generation X or Y. They have a different mindset because of the technology that they've been exposed to and the things they listen. And so they even expect to work from home. Yes. They expect to give you time. When during your time, I'm sure when you're working, when it's still break, you will say, "Oh, let me just work after that." No, when it's break for them. They will stop the work.
When it's 5, it's 5.
They will, no matter where the work has gotten to, the intensity of the nature of that, they don't care. They will break and go.
We have a long way.
And we can't blame them.
That's who they are.
But I like the point you made. 24-hour economy also means that you can work from home.
Oh, yes.
It's possible. But please, just in my conclusion.
Okay. So one sentence.
As policy makers and implementers, I would advise the government that they should think of the sustainability. And if I say sustainability, what do I mean? A situation whereby the positive impact of this policy will stay with the people for the rest of their lives, even if part of the policies have some sort of lifespan. After the expiration of that particular aspect of the policy, the impact that people are getting will stay with them for the rest of their lives. And then we should depoliticize this particular policy. And then the government communication team should do us better. You see, all of us here have agreed to one thing, that there is some sort of communication gap. People are not being carried along. The government communication should take this upon themselves to educate the people, and then NCCE ought to be brought in. Media houses and everybody should be brought in to help in the communication and explanation of the policy. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Let me take final words from Madina, and then I come to you, Agnes. Maybe should I make it a question?
Okay.
Yeah. So, in one sentence, what must Ghana absolutely get right to for the 24-hour economy to succeed?
Tripartite communication.
Okay.
Tripartite engagement. Involve everybody. Carry everybody along. And this policy would work. But I will end with saying that a non-shift or a shift in this economy should not lead to any adverse shift in workers' rights.
Okay. Agnes, same question to you.
All right. So what I would say is that the government should get things in place, infrastructure-wise, everything, to make it operational. Like its implementation feasible, not like companies are struggling to do it. It's a policy, do it. Meanwhile, we don't have the support from the government.
Right. Okay, thank you very, very much for coming and for your insights. I'm really, really grateful. It's been a great conversation, and thank you very much for coming.
Thank you too for having us.
Great. All right, I was joined by Dr. Felix Larry Esilfi. He's a development economist and executive director of IDER, and also Nana Madina Ibrahim. She's an employment and labor law expert, and Agnes Chirwa Jima. She is with she's an HR business partner at ISAL, and these are the three individuals who helped me have this conversation this morning. Well, of course, this is how we wrap up today's edition of the Business Breakfast on Zed. And we're back again tomorrow. And we've heard today that while the 24-hour economy holds great promise, it must be backed by infrastructure, labor protection, incentives, and most importantly, prepared minds and systems. Special thank you to our guests, and a thank you to all of you who listen to us. Let's continue the conversation on air, online, and in our boardrooms. Ghana's future runs around the clock. My name is Nitra B. Hammond. Thank you very much for sticking and staying. We're back again tomorrow, 6:15 a.m. When you think Ghana, please think Zed. Bye-bye.